Well, hey, let's talk about it, Jacob. Noble and Oxygen, two great teams. Oxygen clearly a better ranking overall, 5th place, where Noble sits at 10, but we talked about their early portion. I think this week could go very well for them, depending if they can beat Oxygen. It's not going to be easy, but one member from Noble might make it a little bit easier, and that's going to be Cellz. We're always hyping him up, Jacob.
No, we definitely are. He's one of those guys that he's very precise in what he does, and he's very destructive once he gets on fire. He can destroy teams, and he can shift the momentum into the favor of Noble in the blink of an eye, and you can kind of see a 2.09 KDA. Every single time he dies, he's affecting the fight double that.
You know, Cellz, he's in chat right now. He's pumped up. He's listening to the pre-talk. He knows he is the player to watch. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to make sure they know they should be watching me. I'm going to be popping off today. Fair enough, Cellz. Let's see what you got. Bring your A game. Love Cellz. He loves us. And, you know, Noble, again, my name's Taylor Noble for a reason. All right. Noble is going to be a great team. I better stop now before I get too far pumping up Noble and then go to my prediction if that's alluding to anything. But regardless, though, I think Noble's going to be all right tonight. And I just noticed a bear in the background. When did it get the gear shirt?
Bro, this bear has more merch, better ideas, everything. He's the one who gave me the idea for the belt. He's the one who picks my predictions, and he's the one that I leaned into my predictions today into this series. But I told him, hold on. We got to see the picks and bans first. He was trying to jump the gun, but we got to see the picks and bans.
Well, let's take a look at them. Let's see our pick and ban, Jacob, and hopefully your bear can whisper in your ear and let you know who is, in fact, going to be the victor today. We'll start off Regency, Control, Tomb Execution, Training Grounds, Escalation, then Reactor, and Canals to finish us off. Canals been map 5 more often than not, Jacob.
Yeah, no, it's definitely being one of those maps that are kind of sneaking up on people. I'm just happy overall to not see Checkout kind of break it into here, but I'm also surprised as well, seeing as I feel like Noble, they really have to come out with a vengeance. They have to start off hot, and if they go down early, I think Checkout would have been a contingency. So Regency, Control, Tomb Execution, those are two maps to where if you're able to take control and be very, very decisive in your maneuvers, you can go out and start off with a 2-0 lead.
Oxygen, is this series going to benefit them? Well, we know Regency Control is kind of their playground. They do very well there. I think Noble is a great Reactor team, though, so two controls that go to the way of Oxygen and Noble, respectively. Obviously, both teams getting their pick. Tomb Execution, kind of up in the air as to who's going to be better on that one. We have seen Noble play that quite well. Again, Tomb Execution, much like Canals, we've been seeing that in the rotation a lot more often, a lot more recently. You know, it's funny, in Phase 1, we saw a ton of Clock Tower. We don't see Clock Tower as much, and Blaze alluded to the fact that maybe we don't see it as much given the fact that it's kind of a standard map. You know, everybody knows how to play it. You don't see anything too crazy, where Tomb is still developing, and teams are finding, you know, added edges on certain teams. Vanquish, one of those teams that's been struggling on Tomb as of recently, but you know, I said it before, let me not get too carried away on the predictions, but now it's time to get a little bit carried away. Let's talk about who we think we are going to see end up ahead. I was pumping up Noble, and Noble is a great team. You know what? I said I wouldn't bet against them after some impressive victories. But I have to bet against them here, brother. As much as good as Cellz is, as good as Noble as being, Oxygen has to be my pick. They're just incredible. They really are. They've had some close series. They're in 5th place for a reason, and they're still my team to be a bracket buster team heading into the major. Jacob, what about you?
Man, going into this one, I felt like it was pretty easy for me to predict. Noble coming into this one, they controlled their own destiny. They escaped kind of placing last with those victories a few short weeks ago. But since then, it's been looking like an uphill battle. It's like they've been climbing Mount Everest, where they're just slowly, that elevation is getting higher. It's getting harder for them to breathe, and they're just going to collapse. And because of that, I got to go with Oxygen. I love to breathe, and I think Oxygen is going to make this one look easy. At least 3-1. I don't think Noble's going to go out without a fight, but like 3-1, I think Oxygen has this one in the bag.
3-1, 3-2. I wouldn't be surprised with either of them, to be quite honest. Chat, what are you going with? You going with Oxygen? You going with Noble? The map's loading up, so do it quickly. Going with Oxygen. So now, Noble, it's up to you. What are you guys going to do? Bring your A game, because honestly, this is going to be a great series, at least in my eyes. It'd be very telling if Oxygen beats Noble 3-0. I don't expect that to be the result whatsoever, but I do think Oxygen will win once it comes down to Canals specifically. But what do I know? I've been wrong quite a bit lately, Jacob. You are the one who's been right in the predictions, and you're the champion by a lot. So, you know what? If you're going Oxygen, I feel good about my pick.
Yeah, but if you guys want that diamond encrusted Gears Esports Undisputed Championship belt. You guys can go ahead. I'll give you guys lessons. I'll let you guys know what I'm thinking right now. Oxygen, I just feel like the combination between Pushyz and Rockies, the duo IGLs, the way they're kind of able to assert themselves, it has just been too much for some of these teams as of late, and Rocky's going to go ahead and start it off for Oxygen. They get the hill portion of the map. They're still trying to take out and push out a Cellz from pushing in, but they lose everything else. They lose the frag grenades. They lose the M-bar up top. So it's now about surviving and not thriving.
Surviving, not thriving, not something you want to hear, right? Especially when you're the ones who are trying to survive. It does have its place, but I would rather be thriving, quite honestly. Nade thrown out, Abolics forced to dodge. Doubles back, has the coverage, and out-angled by Lava. Pushyz might be able to be a hero here, but you see him breaking off Jacob, and Oxygen at this point has a decision to make. Do we push for this hill once again, or do we go to lock in the spawns to the next? Well, I don't think they're going to have a choice, and given the fact that Lava and Moaries continue to push Rocky and co, I think at this point, they're just forced to fight.
Yeah, there's a certain point where Oxygen decides, hey, if I don't get this down, I don't get an elimination in this few short seconds. That's where you kind of rotate to next. But Abolics was able to get one. They got another one towards the middle. There goes two. Was that 3 for Abolics? A possibility is definitely there, but you already see Pushyz was one of those 2 members. Immediately knows my teammates have this was in a bag. I'm going to go ahead and rotate out. Go ahead and get that back spawn, anchor my team there, and go ahead and be that Lancer presence they ever so need. As you see, that fire is going to go ahead and start up. One down coming through. Quickly revive, and they have a few short seconds before the hill even moves locations, but Noble's gonna have to think of something quick.
Think of something quick. Yes, they definitely are. Oxygen is a tough team, especially team-wise. Colin's been tracking them, and Oxygen wins quite a few of them. Noble, though, impressed me last week, Jacob, with their ability to break hills. Their teamwork has been on point, and they have improved considerably since their rocky start. Granted, Murderer's Row they had to go through, Vanquish, E-United. They had to play against literally the top 4, top 6 teams. But now I think they have a much better chance of catching up, and Lava is going to be a big instrument in that. Very well done, and a good collapse with him and Moaries, but up close, Morty's going to lose his life. Rocky takes him down. Moaries out of the way, and Lava gone too, and that great push that Lava started now finishes with him down on all 4s.
Yeah, they did a good job. They didn't let them get away with all of that early time. But now that Oxygen's kind of been able to kind of settle the dust and things have been able to slow down just a little bit, that's where they're going to get a good majority of that second hill time. But Noble, they're going to go ahead and get that M-bar, get the frag grenades, depending on if they want to go down low and get that shot grenade as well. They're going to try and collect everything and bank on getting the majority of this next hill time, which is very, very important. Because if they let Oxygen go through, they're going to be down 2 different hills that they have to now build momentum to overcome.
And building momentum a little bit too late. Sometimes, it's great to see that, but if you take too much of a deficit, you find yourself in a hole you can't dig yourself out of, right? So this might be one of those situations for Noble. It's not too crazy just yet. Cellz is going to be great, though, with the M-bar. Backing up, choosing to maintain his life. Love the nades. This should for sure get 1, you'd have to assume. Matter of fact, going to get 2. Moaries played that perfectly. Threw 1 to the right, threw 1 to the left, pinning the boys in Oxygen. Picking up the double zoom, last alive in the hill, and he's going to end up losing his life. This is going to be a great chance for Noble to catch up.
Yep, a very important must-have defense for Mobile, like I said, because now they go ahead and keep themselves from falling behind the curve. They're going to have more than enough time to take the lead, but obviously, some teams, they leave 15, sometimes a little bit more seconds of dead time so they can get their rotation to come through. So Noble is going to have to defend this Oxygen team one more time if they're looking to go ahead and take the lead. But even if they don't take the lead, keeping Oxygen off of the hill should be the second game plan to come through, as long as the defense does not fail.
Yeah, defense is everything. Morty, tries to get the downs, but the good team pickup from Oxygen is going to allow them to penetrate even further. Moaries now, tough spot to be in, trying to just be a nuisance, and is going to be a nuisance long enough for Lava to pick up 1, but not long enough for Lava to pick up the others, and that's going to be a decent retake. 26 seconds remaining. Cellz still holding on to that M-bar. Last time we saw him, he had 4 shots, now only 1. Obviously, the fresh one will be coming up. You'd have to think relatively soon, but before then, we have the rotation. There's the fresh one. Speaking of the devil, Cellz will keep his 1 shot. Morty's going to have now a fresh 6 to his name. 7 total shots. And I don't know what that communication was between Morty and Cellz, but maybe you could break that one down for me.
Yeah, they just, I felt like they just want to spread out the ammo, making sure everybody at least has a couple shots so that even if at worst, they hit the body shots, they're still going to go ahead and get the chunk, get the elimination, and back these players off, especially if you think he's clear. Now they think Morty has the M-bar towards the top half of the map, that he's able to get the headshot onto Rocky, but now they're going to get number 2. And now that they know that both Cellz and Morty, that's just where they're going to go ahead and slow things down yet again. But if I'm Auction, I do quite the opposite. I push through since there's so much time on this hill, get them to waste those N-bar shots, and at the very, very best, you can go ahead and break through and find yourself the elimination. At worst, you get them to waste their N-bar shots, and you don't allow them to extend them to the next hill.
I love this setup from Noble. They're doing it right. Player 2 is going to be my biggest worry, but he will be joined by player 4, so it's going to be Moaries and Lava. You can tell what Oxygen's game plan is, right? 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and they're looking to pincer in the remaining members from Noble. That's why they spread out at the top side anyways. So that's going to be up to Rocky and Co to push in. They're the ones who's going to be the closest, but on the opposite end, it looks to be going well potentially for Zoom. It's going to be a trade of 1v1 at the top. Meanwhile, Oxygen might be able to get the break, but quite honestly, just like the last hill, Jacob, by the time Oxygen gets the break, even if they do, they're only getting mere points. Noble has caught up and in fact surpassed that of Oxygen. They have the lead.
Yeah, right now, it's just not looking good for Auction. I think they scored about 20, maybe even less than that, points here within the last 2 hills. So they're definitely falling behind the curve. Noble has gotten into a groove here, and the beginning exposed the weakness is coming through, but Pushyz, one of those players I talked about, along with Rocky, beginning to be the heart, the soul of Oxygen, and he was just being a distraction. He went 1-for-1 for trade, go ahead and allowed another player to overextend, so this is the must-have on the other side of the map. But Moaries, Cellz, they're doing a great job of defending the next hill, which is important for Noble. So I was talking about early on in this game where they couldn't fall behind, a must-have defense. Now it's on the flip side. This is one of those moments for Auction. You must have a great offense to push through. You got to stop the bleeding and start to build some momentum.
First time Oxygen's got the M-bar in quite some time. I think since the very start, Pushyz has it in his hands. But it's one thing to have it and another to make an impact with it, and that's exactly what they're going to have to do. Noble, once again, set up early for the hill. They've done this off the previous 3, and it's clearly having an effect on Oxygen at the moment. I know they have the ability to, group up together and overtake a hill, but wasting a lot of time. And again, by the time they get to this hill to even challenge, look at how many points, 30-something points. You start off with 75, you need to start getting more if you're an Oxygen fan or an Oxygen player in general. Nades thrown, great angle from Lava. And once again, Noble's going to win the team fight. Even though they had a rocky start, Jacob, they have not looked like that shaky team we saw off the beginning. They're looking like a well-oiled machine, and Oxygen is struggling to keep up at this point.
Yep. Right now, they probably know Lava's there, but I don't know if they know Cellz there. They're going to think it's safe, able to push up. They're going to catch one slipping. Abolics, think before you move as he gets taken out, getting a little bit over-aggressive, and that's very, very bad because they're already pushed as far up as possible. Morty here is now feeling the pressure. That's a must-have elimination for Oxygen here to try to even up the tides in the middle of this battle. Pushyz, though, is going to go down. That's going to make it that much harder because the spawn point at the bottom is going to go to Noble. So a big rotation is going to have to come through for the fresh respawn players of Oxygen if they're looking to defend this hill.
Rocky at the forefront, choosing to back up. He does get stunned a little bit. One of my concerns is Noble has the beneficial side, in my opinion, for going for a break. They're going to have spawn control, and they're also picking up the elims. Oxygen might lose this fight, and even if Noble does, again, they're going to get some decent spawns and be able to refresh, and Cellz, the player to watch, rotates in, takes down Rocky and Pushyz. Abolics fell earlier, and another team fight going to the way of Noble. The damage really stacking for Lava and Moaries, carrying the team in Joe. I say carrying the team respectfully. I think everybody on Noble's doing a great job. At Oxygen, again, not keeping up in any of the statistics. This is round 2. They're trying to break once again, and it's already off to a rocky start.
Yeah, I think Noble right now is just discovering very, very well that they don't always have to up A. They can back A, they can go ahead and retreat, but it's not to feel defeated. It's to just reassess the situation, get the reinforcements necessary, and go ahead and push through. And that's exactly what you're seeing yet again. It was Noble backing off of that hill, reassessing the situation, get the spawn point towards the bottom, and then go ahead and attacking once more to get the remaining seconds onto the hill, being the first team to eclipse that 200-point mark as well. Once you eclipse that 200-point mark reflections, that's when you go ahead and put the pressure on the enemy team, saying, hey, each and every one of these hills, we are going to bleed dry. We're going to get one step closer to taking this map, and make sure that you have to be cognizant of leaving that dead time, because it's no longer dead time here for Noble.
Yeah, no longer dead time in general. Like you said, once you pass that 200-point mark, and with Oxygen trailing as much as they are, things start to get scary, and you start to sweat. You really do. At this point, Oxygen needs to be very successful off the next 2 hills to make this competitive, or else Noble, they're going to walk away with this. Pushy's doing a, oh no, he doesn't get the finish, and I think that, yeah, he doesn't get the finish. Noble's going to be a full 4-man stack. They're going for the break again, and they're going to be successful. Zoom in a tough spot. The nade will connect on Cellz, but the remaining members of Moaries and Lava get the cleanup. That finish could have made all the difference.
Yeah, I think Lava's coming for my championship belt the way he's been playing these last couple of weeks. He's been an unstoppable, an unmovable force for Noble. He's been a big reason why they were able to get those wins on the board in that week, a big 6-0 map count. But there goes a blunder on the side of Cellz with the team kill on to Morty. He falls shortly after, but his team is still racking up the points here. This scrap time might look like scrap time to anybody, but in this position for Noble, this is important time that makes the next hill winnable for them.
Moaries down. Once again, Oxygen getting the break. But as I've been saying, they're getting the break. How many points are left? 25 seconds. They're not getting the bulk of time. That's been Noble. And Noble's been successful in keeping the lead because they get set up early. Exactly what they're doing now. This next hill, as you mentioned, is going to pretty much make or break Oxygen, quite honestly. At this point,
Absolutely.
Noble, they have to be, they've got to break this hill. They've got to break the defensive setup, and they haven't even tried moving in yet.
And right now, it looks like they're going to have Lava try to defend with the cross. They're going to attack the spawn. Great smokes over the top. The big damage being fired off. Morty almost going through unscathed. A little bit of a late flash, but it was just there, just in the nick of time to get the stun onto Abolics, forcing him back. Now Zoom, he's trying to go in and get the down. The wolf pack is there from Oxygen, which is very important to secure those revives. But in the hill, the attack is on. Moaries finds an elimination onto Pushyz. The down coming through. Moaries is taken out, and Lava does fall. They find only 8 seconds here as Oxygen is able to break through, stop that little bit of bleeding here, but now they have to go ahead and have as good of a defense as they did of an offense there.
Without question, Jacob, and Oxygen, this is great for them. They can catch up. They can get pretty close. They're going to have to hop off, though, around 10 or 15 seconds, or even more so, because they need to prioritize the next hill. Noble's within striking distance of that 300 score mark. Oxygen, they can get scarily close, too. You just mentioned, though, the defensive work needs to happen, and this is where it needs to occur. Morty, want to whip those nades, though. One goes to the right, nobody home. He tries to predict where the people are at, but unfortunately, he messes it up, and that is a total collapse of Noble. Jacob, this might just become possible for Oxygen to close the gap.
Yep, they're definitely going to go ahead and get it within, I think, maybe 25, 30 seconds here. 33 to be exact. Lava knows the rotation's coming through, starts the crossfire. His team's there to back him up. They're going to lose one on this rotation on the side of Oxygen, but they have 12 seconds before the hill rotate. Make that 2 as Abolics dies somewhere else on the map, but they still have the time there. They still have the time to go ahead and get their players back up. If you look at the weapons, 30 seconds or less for the M-bar, for the shock grenades. They're not going to be able to wait for those frags. So while they make this push and try to break through for Noble, they have to be very, very careful here because Noble can easily spawn back up and use those nades to break in a matter of seconds.
Again, Oxygen, back to their own ways, trying to break from this side. Granted, this is the side you want to try and break this hill from. With as much time as it's going to take, Jacob, once Oxygen gets there, they could have a decent chunk of points, but if they fail this push, this game is all but over with, and Noble's going to take a 1-0 lead in the series. This is a do or, I mean, quite honestly, it's been do or die, right? I think at this point for Oxygen, they just suffered too much of a loss, an early deficit. So let's see what Oxygen's up to. Again, taking way too much time. What are they waiting on?
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Time's not on your side. The longer you let this go, it's going to be a little bit easier for Noble to scrap it together. First down's coming through. Chain revives. The wolf pack again for Oxygen. But Noble, they're just backing up. They're just making it easy, using their teamwork to make the dream work. They're just fending off elimination after elimination. Another team wipe is going to be secured. More than 10 seconds are on the clock. So that means Noble, with that defense, are going to secure a map #1 victory over Oxygen Esports.
Talk about turning the tides. Noble, successful job on Regency control. They started off rocky and shaky with that 60, 70 point deficit. But I tell you what, Jacob, by that third hill, by the time the third hill was up, Oxygen wasn't even in contention. They weren't even a thought to Noble. Noble was just playing their game. DPS across the board incredible. 17k damage done from the Man of Lava. He did a wonderful job getting the penetration. He got the breaks. I think Noble as a whole won way more team fights than Oxygen. They just played a better Regency control, quite honestly. Oxygen, I expected to bring their A game, especially with that being their map pick and their history on Regency, but no competition. Noble, they brought their A game. They're a serious contender, and Oxygen should be feeling the pressure now.
talking about these two teams' history on Regency. Regency as a map in general is one of those maps to where you can get exposed just a little bit when it comes to the teamwork aspect. If you're not on the same page in terms of defending, in terms of on the offense, you really get taken out. And wow, that frag grenade, I missed it in the moment, but that frag landed absolutely perfect on that cover to get an explosion on either side. It didn't matter where they were going ahead and look to hide.
Oh. Yeah, nice shots, nice nades. I'm really blown away by Noble. I truthfully am. Again, Noble last week played very well. Noble this week, obviously starting off very strong. They're a team that I'm going to have to take very seriously going into the major, Jacob. Like, Noble is a team that could very well be a bracket buster team, much like Oxygen is, because I put Oxygen as a bracket buster team. But you saw what Noble was just able to do to them. So why can't Noble be a bracket buster team? It's not a stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, honestly, though, as any one individual, and I'm not going to say it's any one individual, but you can't spell team without me and Lava right now. Lava is playing on another level. Lava is playing like championship, like I said, game battle style Lava, that single-digit style player that he's proven to be. And with that 1-0 lead, Noble, like you said, is looking to be a threat. A bracket buster, a lot of these teams, you guys are going to have to prepare. You can't sleep on this team anymore, because Oxygen is one of those teams, just like you said, to where they've taken teams like Vanquish, like United down to the wire.
So how would you spell team then? Tellavam?
There's me in there. There's
You know,
me in there.
with an E, with me at the end. Hey, I mean, he played so well. I loved what, but you know what? I think we've been waiting to see Lava play as well as that. You know, we've been waiting to see Noble play as well as they just did. They took a while to get the party started, but once they did, they quite honestly look unstoppable. You know, are they better than Vanquish, Rise, you know, E United and the likes of them? Maybe not, but are they a team again that if you don't take them seriously, can they beat you? Yeah. Without question. I think Oxygen is much the same. Great job from Noble, though. Blown away by their team fights. Truthfully, they played that picture perfect and good composure to close that gap as quickly as they did. And Oxygen, they just failed to rotate early. They failed to get the defensive break. Honestly, breaking those hills, Jacob, Oxygen took all the wrong angles, which is uncharacteristic of them.
Yeah, they were just kind of like trying to brute force. They probably thought it was going to be a little bit easier than they might have imagined this one to be. They probably didn't calculate for how good Noble has been progressing as a team overall. And that's one of the things that a lot of people don't take account of. They look at the record, they look at the score lines and think, hey, this is enough to go ahead and tell me the story. But we say it all the time. The scoreboard, the stat line, what's on paper time and time again has been thrown out of the window. So that's one of these things that going into map number 2, Auction now has been put on notice. They got the pink slip on their door. They have to be very, very careful.
First and foremost, shout out to Noble and Oxygen for starting the maps as quickly as they are, Jacob. My goodness, we just got out of Regency. We filled for like 2 minutes, and I know we're having a restart. Fair enough. I don't care. The fact that they even attempted to start is great. I'm in love with these two teams now.
Yeah, A for effort, definitely on that one for trying to get it. But that just goes to show these ending weeks of the Pro League, every single person is focused up because they realize this is the last bit of tournament style practice that they are going to get before all that money, all that glory and gold is going to be on the line, because it's put up or shut up. Yeah, you can go ahead and chalk it up to go ahead. Yeah, I had a bad week. It was a Monday. I had a case of the Mondays. Yeah, it was Tuesday. I didn't get my Taco Tuesdays. I didn't get my Wing Wednesdays. I didn't get to throw down on Thursdays. I didn't get my relaxation on Friday, because guess what? That's when the major is going to begin. So these guys have to be prepared. And honestly, Noble, like we've been saying week after week, that we can't necessarily sleep on them. In our predictions, I've definitely been sleeping on them. They definitely cost me a little bit. But during that 2-0 shutout week, they definitely helped me a little bit as well.
Oh, I mean, they're about to cost us, chat, as well as the team points. So I'm like, man, you know, what's going on? So, hey, seriously, Noble, blown away by them. I really am. Let's point the discussion, though.
He lets me hear it every time. I mean, I'm like, I just
Cellz does.
Cellz lets me hear it every single time. That's my Puerto Rican brother right there. So it's like he has to let me hear it, but I got to give him credit every single time. He proves me wrong every time.
To be fair, Cellz is just a good human being. You know what I'm saying? He really is. And you know what? If he wins and we bet against him, he has every right to let us know. You know, free reign to do so, because us casters, we tell the story as it is. You know, we're unbiased. Well, some of us are unbiased. Not to point out any names or people, okay, who support certain teams much more than others. You love them though. You gotta love them. But with that being said, though, you know, Cellz, hey, if we're hard on any team and that team wins, look, they have every right to clap back at us. You know, and I'll take it. It is what it is. You know, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It is what it is. But hey, let's talk about Tomb Execution, because this is coming up next for Noble. This is a decent map for them. I say decent. The reason why, they've had some successful wins. Tomb 6-2 against Elevate during their matchup a couple of weeks ago. Most recently, though, they did suffer a loss 3-6 to Rebel. Let's hold that with a grain of salt. They did have a sub that week, and they had a sub that matchup. So they did. And I think with the full team being here now, it's not going to be as easy. Morty was missing last week. Morty's back, and Moaries and Morty are just the terrible two. You know, the M duo. All right, they make it happen. So Morty being back on this roster, M&M's. There you go. I think this is going to. I think they're going to do great. I really do. I think they played Tomb great against Rebel. I do. If Morty's there, I think it's a different story. They beat Rebel, so I think they're favored here.
And I think people forget that Morty's was so close from tasting that championship gold on that quarantine roster with Ices, with I believe Solars and Franchise. Or I probably got somebody mixed up. Maybe forgot Rushes in there for a moment, because the 5v5. That's what I'm forgetting. The 5v5 aspect. And yeah, he might have taken a little bit of a break, rightfully so. When you're been competing for as long as he have been at the top for as long as he has, man, sometimes you need a break, you need a refresher, and you come out swinging.
It was Rushy's Icy, Mortify, Franchise, and one other, and I forget the other. That was Solars. That was yeah. That was a great roster. That quarantine roster. What, third place? I think at a major, or second place? They tore it up. Yep. Yeah, second place. They tore it up. You know, great to see them. Either way, like I said, Noble, in my opinion, guys, they have to be my favorite here. They've had great success. Morty is back, and Lava's in an interesting spot, pinned up. But does he put? Oh, he's going to push Pushyz. This is I don't know if this is going to work or not, but he's got his teammate behind him. And this is a tough spot for Lava and Moaries to be in, Jacob.
Oh, but they're somehow making it work, though. It almost looked like they were getting over-aggressive. It almost looked like Oxygen was going to go ahead and make a Noble sandwich, but the sandwich fights back, gets 3 elimination, and now it's all up to Abolics. He doesn't even have time to grab that torque bow, so he's going to have to go ahead and fight with just his stock weapons, his bare knuckles, and he gets taken down with one of the M's of M&M.
You know, it's funny you say sandwich fighting back, and I'm thinking all I can think of is the tuna sandwich from Subway, because it's fighting back. All right, it's fighting back for all the years we've been eating it, and it's like no one's touching it now. And if you are, maybe you're radioactive. I eat plenty of them. Maybe that's why I'm not right in the head sometimes when I cast, and I can't do math. Either way, let's hop in to the round number 2. Noble takes the first one. I seriously very impressed with Lava and Moaries to get out of that tough spot. I thought for sure Oxygen was going to be able to collapse down and take those 2 members out, but they don't capitalize in that moment. And Morty just about gets enough damage on Abolics. Pushyz is already down 2. He needs to get out with his life. Abolics still full red. Finally gets away. Maurice has the snipe. So power weapons on both ends. And for Oxygen, they lose 2 members. This is another rocky start, but Oxygen's pushing him back.
Cellz right here. This is big. Oh, wow. Just like the Great Wall of China. He stands tall, holds off all defenders there in that altercation. And that was a must push for the team members of Oxygen, because that was the 1v1. Even though a player was down and it was a 2v1 scenario, that was the 1v1. They kill him, they get the revive. It's a 2v2 scenario, and they have the power weapon.
Yeah, this is again great start for Noble, up 2-0 last week. Not having Mortify did hurt them. Now they did play with their sub. I forget the sub, but he was incredible. He was Thing 2 played well. The coach of Noble, and my goodness, did he impress me. But you can't replace Mortify. You really can't, especially this getting this close to the major. Abolics might take a poke at the torque, but decides to back off. That stun doesn't affect Morty as he wanted him to, so we'll have that standoff. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, things are popping off. Lava might have an opportunity to go for the pick, and he does. Now things might be starting to shape up once again for Noble as Lava gets away pretty much scot-free.
Yeah, right now Pushyz needs to be screaming, yelling at the top of his lungs right now. Lava has sniper, watch out. And that's why you're not really seeing that aggressive play coming out from the remaining members of Oxygen. But Lava's rotation comes through. This is a chance for the mismatch with those grenades and try to neutralize the sniper. But Cellz finds first blood onto Abolics down low. Rocky finds number 2. Now it's all up to Pushyz. No frags left either. Going against Sniper, going against Torpo, going up against 4 members of Noble, and already have a 2-0 lead. And the only elimination is going to be a team kill from Moaries, and he evens it up with another elimination. Noble coming out hot. This is something I didn't expect at all. At all, in a million years.
Yeah, I mean, well, we first and foremost, we both went with Oxygen. Now, I do want to say, as I mentioned, this could have went 3-2. This could go 3-1. It could go the distance in general. It wouldn't surprise me. I think Noble and Oxygen, quite honestly, are very even in terms of score, especially, or in terms of their history, with Noble having a phenomenal past 2 weeks. They've been on the come up. There is no question that they can perform well after some of the victories they have got as of recently. So I have no doubt that Noble is an incredible team that can go toe-to-toe with Oxygen. But this is a telling victory, or at least a telling lead for Noble. Winning map number 1 in the way they did, and potentially winning Tomb Execution in a convincing fashion. You got to be worried for Oxygen, because the Major's right around the corner, and Oxygen seems to be slowing down.
Yeah, right now, it's just like Noble's just taking whatever they want. They want position, they go and grab it. Lava wants the sniper, he goes and grab it. They want first blood elimination on the Abolics down low, they go and grab it, but a missed shot from Lava is going to leave him open for just a moment. But it was a little bit of a bait, it looks like, because now they're going to go ahead and aggress on to Pushyz. The mismatch 2v1, and Noble's not taking advantage, or I should say Oxygen is not taking advantage anywhere else on the map. They lead Zoom in another 1v2, and soon Rocky's now going to be in a 1v3 situation, but he finds that first elimination. This is big if they take out Morty. Now it's a 2v2. Lava's going to slow down, back up, reassess the situation, because remember, he has that sniper in hand.
Can he get away, though? That's the big thing. It looks like he wants to push this, Jacob. What? And Lava by himself. Yeah, Rocky taking down Moaries. Lava's got to get away. Take cover, my friend. One headshot can absolutely turn the tides of this round. Lava successfully creates that distance. If he can rotate up top and get the nades, even better for him. Overtime is going to be starting. I don't know where it's going to be, but either way, Lava has all the utility he needs. But I don't like that he's getting caught up. He's about to get pinned between Oxygen. Misses the first shot. Rocky goes for the push. Nasher's going to be out. Lava down. Lava did just about everything he could there, but well done from Oxygen to utilize their numbers correctly. That split was good, at least in the moment, but also in hindsight might have not been so good if Lava takes down Rocky. They're able to reset, and let's not forget, Lava would have had the snipe, and he would have been in a 1v1, so that could have been bad.
Yeah, and this is where I almost want to kind of see this was important. Rocky's able to get one. Morty's, they were just trying to 3v1. They were just trying to converge, at least find that one elimination. And if they get the trade, Morty didn't die in vain. It's still a 2v1 scenario, but that was just absolutely massive there. And a blunder on the side of Morty. Just talking him up there for a moment, but it goes to show everybody's human. Everybody can make a mistake. And I was thinking to myself, Pushyz now has to figure out a way to either target Lava in that situation or get aggressive himself. He's giving it up every single round is not the play. It's not the answer. So I'm already glad to see a switch up on this initial.
Yeah, switch ups need to take place when you're losing consistently as you are. Pushyz is the guy that I put a lot of faith into. I love watching him play. Granted, he hasn't picked up any kills or assists this round, but you know what? I think Pushyz, if he steps it up and starts playing his game, he's going to be quite all right. Gets that angle, spots Lava, goes for the reset. We might have a long one here, Jacob.
Ooh, look at Lava backing out. Lava slowly backing out. It's marked as well. This is where you can almost give up the sniper, or even if you pick it up, you have to start to do something here because Lava is going to have that high ground, be able to shoot down low, and they find him onto Cellz, catches him up and gets the body shot with sniper. Without the body shot, though, that would have not come through. Zoom gets taken out. Lava goes for 2 over the top, and that's exactly why he is one of the best players in the game. Talk about his experience, knowing what to do in every exact moment, but this one is going to come down to a 2v2 scenario, and luckily for Lava and the rest of Noble, they were able to take out one of those power weapons.
No, great job from Lava taking that high ground as he did, snubbing out one player. I think that was Cellz, or excuse me, I think that was Pushyz, or no, Zoom, excuse me. And then Pushyz taken down from Moaries as he felt confident Lava had his overhang. Well done. It's a 2v2. And still anybody's ball game. 15 seconds. The overtime hill is going to be starting, and I love where it's at. This hill has been the demise of several great teams in the past.
Oh, it's going to be the demise again. They have shock grenades, they have frag grenades, they have all the utility to kind of create that separation.
Early, though.
But yeah, I was about to say, I will scratch my head and go ahead and wonder why that shock grenade was kind of showing what it was. But frag grenade through one side is going to go ahead and create that separation. Now this is their moment. They're going to go ahead and try to hop over the top as Lava now is letting his teammate get chased. They find that first blood. They're going to get the trade. You got to wonder what exactly went wrong on the side of Noble, and it started with that shock grenade.
Yeah, so poorly planned. The shock grenade thrown when there's still 6 seconds on the hill. It dissipates before it even has an impact. You have 2 nades. You throw one, but then Lava has a second. He's in a 1v2. There is no harm in throwing that nade at his feet, or excuse me, not at his feet, but just above. Like, that should have been thrown. You know they're chasing Moaries. You know they're stacked together. You have a nade in your hands. Why are you not throwing it? Again, Vanquish did that, just last week, Jacob. They had an opportunity to throw the nade, and he doesn't. He just holds it. I don't know why these nades are being held on as hard as they are. Big misplay, but look at this. A big push for Oxygen to take and establish that long shot early on, plus the nades. That's a different look.
Yeah, this is a big audible to come through from Oxygen. Knowing exactly what they want, and they went for it right off the rip, and they went ahead and saved their shock grenade. They have the frag grenades from up top, Abolics with the sniper, but this is what I need them to do. They need to give up those frag grenades. Give around, divvy up what you have, and let your teammates go ahead and funnel them out. That way, they might take some splash damage, a little bit of Lancer damage, and a sniper could all be in effect on the same play at the exact same time, but they can still do that with the shock grenade. But like I said, with Zoom and Rocky not having utility or any sort of grenade in hand, that's what I would like to see, but this one's going to slow down. Neither team really wanted to make it play, and I didn't see where the hill was at Reflections. Maybe did you, but just judging off Oxygen's position, it has to be up top.
I assume it's going to be up top. It was down low, and I think it rotates back up to the top, and then it kind of, symmetrically goes down the line, if I'm not mistaken.
Only calling those.
Honestly, any question, it's always nice to have Colin on the broadcast. He's chilling on the beach, though. I don't know where he's at, but I mean, he's sipping pina coladas on the beach, having a good time.
He's probably 3 deep right now, watching us, shaking his head. Yep.
Looking at that last nade play, replaying it over and over again.
Ooh, that's
thinking, what in the heck?
Important. That shock grenade is going to be important. But the thing about that shock grenade is you have to use that shock grenade to keep them out of the hill, because they have shocks, they have frags, and they have the sniper to push you away from the hill while they get in. You need
that's a torque bow too.
Now you see why they went for it, but torque bow on the other side of things. Even up Rocky, Pushyz, they're getting flanked. Rocky's able to find 2. That's going to be a big double kill, because now they don't even have to go for the hill, even though this is where they're going to get in. The down, Lava's going to be able to pick it up. He's in the hill, and ticking forward, reset to come through. And Rocky shuts it down to tie the game up.
Abolics gets the revive to Rocky just in the nick of time. Lava smelled blood in the water, brother, and he went to go chomp down on some fish. I don't know where that came from, but he was just a bit short on it. This flank, though, from Rocky was beautiful. Picking up those 2 players was incredible. But again, Abolics, the hero there, he's able to chunk some damage and ultimately allow Rocky picked back up to be the savior. Those team pickups matter, and a couple of rounds have been pretty devastating to the side of Oxygen, but this time around, it's going to work in their favor. That's 3 rounds in a row. We're tied up 3-3.
This is where I wish it was land, because I would get that wrestling nostalgia if they just started chanting, Rocky, Rocky. And they better start chanting. He gets first blood yet again for Oxygen. He quickly turns. He gets some damage taken out, so this is Morty opportunity to take him out as well, but he burns, taking him out with the help of Abolics, as Rocky, the force that Oxygen needs, climbing back into this one after a 3-0 start from Noble. Things have turned upside down.
So it's imperative Moaries picks up a shot here. But he's getting pressured, and Zoom is doing exactly what he needs to do. He understands Moaries, values his life in that moment. That sniper pays dividends. Zoom gets him weak enough to where he feels confident. Moaries doesn't go for that second shot. Lava by himself, 1v3. We knew how that story was going to end. Rocky picking up first blood. Again, Oxygen like fine wine, getting better as each round goes along.
Man, Rocky just realizing what is at stake here. Because I talk about some of those teams fighting for the records, fighting to be towards the top of the ranks, that still have their own destiny, their own fate under their own control. Oxygen is one of those teams. And one of the things I noticed early on, and you can kind of see it with the genetic makeup of this roster coming in from a lot of underground, shotgun-heavy players, execution has been their game type for a long time.
All right, Pushyz gets into cover. Morty finds a way to get that torpo. Oh, he's going to be... Oh, great shot, and he gets away. That was just, I mean, just cool, calm, and collective under pressure. That is a big elim to put Noble up 4-3. To finally stop this bleeding. Pushyz clutching up in the moment, though. Moaries gets a bit hungry and tries to go in. He's shut down. We're tied up 3-3 at the moment. Cellz rotating back if he can. Torquebo out, splash damage in. Morty goes to push onto Zoom, give him a taste of his own medicine from before, but from the angle is Rocky, and Noble doesn't know Rocky's there, Jacob, and he capitalizes. It's a 3v2. Oxygen has the advantage, and they're going to take yet another round that started off so well for Noble.
Dwayne the Rocky Johnson right there. 5 in a row for Oxygen. They're really climbing back into this one, and that is a must. That is a must for this roster, because if you go down 2-0, I don't think they have the experience, the wisdom to climb back and score 3 straight maps.
All right, let's see how it goes. Noble's been shut down after those first 3 rounds. After round 3, Jacob, Oxygen, they've been on a tear, and they are looking unstoppable. Rocky, you said it best, brother. He's been the hero. He really has. 10,700 damage, 11 kills, 3 deaths, by the way. 3 deaths in the span of this major comeback. Those only 3. So speaking of which, he hasn't died then, I assume, outside of the first 3 rounds that Noble won. So 5 rounds in a row, Rocky has not died once.
Man, that man is just putting on a show, putting on a clinic. Pushyz feeling comfortable enough to leave his teammates down low after the work they've been putting in. He gets that cross angle. Moaries is going to be the first one to go down. Lava was able to get that sniper out alive. Rocky, though, might finally see his demise as from across the map, Lava puts that sniper to use rather quickly to end his life. Abolics is going to go down as well. It's looking like the Oxygen Esports run. 5 straight rounds will come to an end. Zoom's going to fall, but Pushyz, you know, they won't go down without a fight. Pushyz and Rocky, talking to them, then the duo IGL combo. And he has frag grenades in his hands, so this is 100% still doable. One towards the backside, one on the stairs to create some separation, some damage to both of these players, but all of them are together on the side of Noble. So a quick bait and switch is going to allow them to keep their health at 100% and attack all at the same time.
Ooh, that lead. Okay, you know what? It was a decent lead, but I will say this. 5-4 can still be pretty scary, Jacob. It can definitely still be scary, because you know you're 1 round away from going to a round 11, and having a lead and then going to a round 11, the momentum's really not in the favor of the team that had the lead and gave it up. The momentum's in the favor of, in this case, would be Noble, who is coming back. So this is a big round for Oxygen. Do not allow Noble to send you to a round 11. Lava, though, has been in this battle just really all the way through against Pushyz. This time around, a lot of emphasis being placed onto him. That shock was well placed. If that Lancer Fire doesn't help isolate him, he gets to pick on the long shot, and then all of a sudden the tides shift into the favor of Noble. This time around, though, Pushyz going for an attempt. Lava going out. And he manages to create the distance. He's safe.
Yeah, they try to double target him along with Zoom on the other side. Pushyz has to be careful here. That shock grenade is still in play. Him and Lava trading shots here. Right-hand advantage goes to Pushyz. Lava filling dairies. The elimination's coming through. This could be a max victory for Oxygen if they can close this one out. But a 3v4. It looks like they have the mismatch at the bottom. Make it a 3v3 here as they catch Abolics out. Pushyz with the sniper in hand. Torquebo's not picked up just yet, and they're going to go ahead and angle him out. Oxygen's not going to let that Torquebo become into play, or at least not in the hands of Noble.
3v2 now. This is the chance for Oxygen to finally close this map out, tie up the series 1-1 after losing Regency control. It's not going to be easy, though. Lava and Cellz have been truly impactful. But Pushyz with that sniper and Rocky with the Torquebo is going to make Noble's life even harder. Not to mention where the overtime hill might be. If it's going to be down low, it's going to be tough. Lava trying to take some matters into his own hands, get some chip damage. Not going to be enough, Jacob. Still, a big battle for Noble to try and turn the odds in their favor. I don't know if they can do it.
Especially with the man advantage. A lot of people don't know the way execution...
Oh, Mo, no. What? Whoa, how? How?
I don't know. That wasn't Pushy's fault. I don't know whose fault it was, but it wasn't Pushy's. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Gears Gods.
That looked accurate, man. But a lot of
Gears
people don't
Gods
know,
could
like
give
I
it.
said, If you have
and
the
they
man
can take it
advantage,
away.
you don't even have to go for the hill. You can go ahead and let the time expire, but they want them to feel the pressure. They want to force them out. Shock Grenade's going to go ahead and buy Noble some time here. That's just going to make them force the target.
No way they do this. No way they do this.
They get all
no
three.
way.
They go ahead and get all three and force a round number 11. Noble is back in it.
How? What? That's what how? I don't know.
I'm about to say, please
I said, brother, the Gears gods giveth and they taketh away.
Was that angle? Who was the sniper?
It was the angle. Think about that snipe. If that snipe connects, it's a 1v3. It's donezo.
Well, I mean, even if it doesn't connect, he put himself out of the fight, going towards the left side of that cover.
Wow. Well, Noble gifted an opportunity to take this map, and this would be a monumental collapse from Oxygen after 5 straight rounds in a row. Say it ain't so. Noble, the final 2 rounds, that's all they need, because they had at least 3 rounds earlier. I guess I need 3 rounds, but regardless, though, let's see what Noble can do, brother, because this isn't going to be easy by any means. But honestly, losing a round like that, going into a round 11, you have to favor Noble's momentum at this point.
Ooh, that was taking those shots over the top. Definitely been checked. Gonna have to watch where he maneuvers around. Lava once again takes control of underneath, and that's been very, very telling for Noble. Once Lava's kind of able to take that control, more often than not, they do find themselves victorious, but he doesn't want to trap himself either as he quickly backs on out. This is round number 11. You can kind of see the pressure it's affecting on a lot of these other players, playing very, very carefully, not overextending, not overexposing themselves like they did in the past 10 rounds.
Still a bit of a stay. Oh, no, player's down. Moaries, he gets caught out. He's not finished just yet, but he's in no man's land. No one's going to be able to transfer and pick him up. Pushyz will pick up the snipe as well. Now the collapse from Oxygen is about to ensue. Mind you, Torquebo still not in the hand. Cellz, though, looking to pull off some heroics. We'll get the finish on one. Goes for the overcover. Zoom, he's going to be a troll. Zoom, he's going to be dead. It's going to be a 2v4, and Noble swings the odds back in their favor despite Moaries being lost early on. And speak of the devil, he's been picked up. Abolics will take down one. It's a 3v2. Pushyz full red, doubles back onto Moaries. It's still possible, but my goodness, the momentum from Noble too much. Player down. Ladies and gentlemen, Abolics last alive. Torquebo in hand. And he's not going to make it happen. He's not going to make it happen. And that is going to be a 6-5 victory for Noble. What an intense map, and ultimately a big loss for Oxygen, because now they trail behind Noble 2-0 in the series when this could easily be tied at 1-1. I don't know how the rest of the series is going to go, but one thing is for certain, Oxygen, you have to step it up. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Escalation Training Grounds coming your way. Welcome back, everybody, to the Gears Pro League Split 3 Phase 2, Day 13. I'm Taylor Reflections Noble, joined by Jacob, and my goodness, Oxygen 5 rounds in a row, blistering fast, looking so good, only to lose to coveted round 11. And I think we need to put a lot of emphasis in that round 11. I beg a question to you, Jacob. Moaries is down, and Oxygen doesn't capitalize, but, well, they tried to, but I guess it ended up being their undoing. How did that round 11 play out in your eyes?
It was Lava. You had to put him to crown. I'm about to mail my belt on over to him. It was King Lava, Big Lava. And I feel nostalgia just thinking back from Fallout so many years ago, talking about the 18-year-old from Virginia, the 17-year-old for years he's been in this. And that's because he went up top, right? Moaries went down, crawled deep in towards that spawn, and Lava held those players off with that Lancer from up top, made them second-guess themselves. And you saw the stutter step come out from those players because of how much damage they were receiving. And they tried to go ahead and maneuver down low, and by then it was already too late. Moaries was kind of getting already back up. The players were realizing and seeing that play develop from a mile away. So I just got to give it to Lava overall, time and time again, setting the tone, setting the pace, and then Cellz as well, just being a defender. Look at this play right here. It is perfect at the right time, over the top, and Lava with the max distance grenade from those frags up at the top. That's where he threw that grenade up. It's just amazing play from Noble overall.
Yeah, I'm impressed. You know, Noble showing resiliency, showing the ability to come back. Let's not forget Regency control. They win that 300 to 215, but that's on the back of a pretty sloppy start. But slowly but surely, they get better and better. And it's the same thing with Tomb Execution, following along the same storyline. You know, great start, 3-0, but then they lose, right? And they go 5-0 down. And then all of a sudden, or excuse me, it was 5-3 after losing 5 in a row. But then resiliency kicks in. They need to be flawless, win 3 straight rounds in a row, and they do. I'm impressed. I really am impressed with Noble, and they continue to show why they are a deadly team to play against and why they need to be absolutely respected heading into the summer major, not this weekend, but next weekend. We head into training grounds, and you know what? I'm looking at the stats here, brother. Training grounds isn't a bad map for Noble by any means. They beat Elevate 5-1. They beat Dream Conspiracy 5-2. I know their slaying power is great with Cellz and co. This could be a 3-0.
Yep, and if you look at kind of what they've been doing on the first 2 maps to make them successful, back rolling, using the absolutely most teamwork that they can, and training grounds with the heaven, with the angles, being on the same page, and even when you're not crossing and you're being a good teammate in terms of wolf packing, getting the revives, even Noble is doing that just a tad better than Oxygen. So coming into this one, I thought it was going to be a 3-1. I said it 3-0, 3-1 in favor of Oxygen. I might have got the score right, but definitely on the wrong side of things the way Noble has been playing. Like I said, teamwork has always made the dream work, and I think they're just doing it on another level right now. Hey,
shout out to Noble and Oxygen again. You see how quick we get into this map? This is the standard we should be upholding, ladies and gentlemen. This is fantastic. I don't care how the series goes. These are my 2 favorite teams in the league at this point, brother. Moaries getting that cross as Morty and Cellz confidently push up. And, you know, again, this fight is going to be very, very impactful and to me telling, given the fact that, you know what, depending on how this fight goes, brother, it could be very well setting the pace well for the boys on Noble, who, again, have been very successful on this map. I was looking at the stats for Oxygen. They haven't played on training grounds too much. Normally it's Vaskar, and they're hit or miss on that one, too. Oxygen is the strongest escalation team. So, again, Oxygen, they're the ones who have to step it up.
I agree with you 100% tenfold, but they might have heard you and agree with you as well as Rocky, along with one of his teammates, going to go ahead and get the first 2 eliminations. Zoom over the top, getting that down onto Morty. So 3 in a row is already in the books. You see the triple cap domination beginning to ensue. Morty's caught in no man's land, not able to affect the fight in Cellz. Just a little too late and a little too quick onto the side of Oxygen. They strike first. They go up 1-0 on Escalation training grounds, and that is very, very important. You got to come out with all the momentum in the world, so that way when Noble starts to do what they've been doing after the first 2 maps of beginning to come back, you have an answer. You're more prepared, and you're not already in a hole.
You know, when it comes down to Escalation, it's funny. It's only played once. It's the 3rd, you know, obviously the 3rd map, the 3rd game mode in rotation. But in a way, it's incredibly, incredibly impactful. I've seen a lot of comebacks. I know you have as well, Jacob, where, you know, you know, a team is down 2-0. Escalation comes around, they win it in a dominating fashion. In this case, it could be Oxygen, and we have a competitive series after that. You know, so this could very well be the turning point, as you mentioned. But Noble off to a good start. Pushyz, though, turning the tides, making it a little bit more competitive. Getting the chunk onto Morty. Lava just on the opposite side. And Cellz forced to back away. Lava's by himself, and he's not going to do much good, at least by himself in that moment. And Oxygen going for the overextension again.
Yep, I'm going to say take a look at Cellz here. He's going to have a flank opportunity here on the Rocky. Pistol's going to go ahead and light him up to begin. Back him off, make him second guess it. Cellz is going to go ahead and try to hit some back A's, keep him weak, along with the help of Moaries. They're going to find that down, trying to get a little over aggressive and get the elimination. He finds it on the side of Cellz, and he's figuring out a way to stay alive. And thanks to this positioning coming through Lava, they're going to go ahead and back off that angle that was possible from Oxygen just a few seconds ago. But Lava, it might have cost him his life, but I might have spoke too soon all at the same time. Cellz backing him up. They're looking like the 1-2 punch combo everybody loves and needs a part of their team, as they're going to go ahead and discombobulate the offensive Oxygen, get deep into the spawn of their own, and go ahead and get their hill back.
All right, good response overall for Noble. Like you said, getting their hills back 2-1, 67-112, but the win condition will be in Noble's hands for the time being. Oxygen looks to retake control, starting with Pushyz. He's going to be in the God spot for the moment. Rocky sliding in. He's going to manage to at least get the decap at the moment. And Noble's going to be forced to fight back. So we're going to see them. They're going to be split up 2-2. The numbers should be counted here. And I think for Cellz and Lava, they might just commit for this overextension, but might not be the best play given the fact that Oxygen has already responded by sending 2 players over for themselves. We'll see how this fight ends up going down, but Noble, without question, they've got to take control back.
They got to figure out something here, and it's going to start On the other side of the map, Morty's just getting over on that side of things, makes it easier for Moaries to get there unscathed. So that revive's quickly going to come through, but Moaries just had different plans. Flank coming through from Pushyz, figuring out a way to get both of those eliminations. Zoom is going to go down, but that was a big overextension to come through. Lava quickly for the revive, as nobody was there on the side of Oxygen. No triple cap domination just yet, but they're going to go ahead and keep 2 hills under their control, eclipse that 200-point mark, and Noble knows they need a big team wipe here to take the round.
Is it going to happen? I don't know. It's a good start, I suppose, with Pushyz dropping off the map. Big OE in place. Double home hill is going to be set up for Noble, but the biggest issue is going to be B. You got to get through player 7 of Rocky, and Rocky has been on an absolute tear. Lava once again by himself, forced to engage. He's going to drop off. It's going to be a no. It's going to be an Oxygen round without question. A isn't going to be broken in time, and that's going to be it. That's going to be a 2-0 lead for Oxygen, and Rocky still clutches up, and he doesn't even have to.
Oh my God, I didn't mean to scream, but that man is just a terror and a force to be reckoned with right now. It's just unfortunate that not everybody's just firing on all cylinders at the same time, but Rocky putting on a show, putting on a clinic, and that decision making right there, instead of just naming it a little bit more towards the ground, would have forced that chunk to come through. That player would have had an opportunity to take out Runky. So being very, very aware there to aim just a little bit higher to complete that chunk. Wow. Whew.
Oxygen. Wow. Oh, the sniper. So we're pulling a little bit of a fire and ice strategy. You know, they're the ones who kind of started this, and it doesn't work out necessarily all the time, though, Jacob. I'm curious how Noble's going to be able to fight for this one. Clearly, they wanted that. Is a great drop on Abolics, though. Moaries feels confident. He gets in for the snipe. Player just on the outside. That's going to be Pushyz, but Moaries is down, and no one's there to save him. There's Morty. The M&Ms.
See, I said it back then, but every time I hear Morty, I just think Rick and Morty. But that if you know who Morty is, that's the complete opposite characters, personalities. This Morty is definitely more dangerous, definitely more capable of taking over a game than the Rick and Morty. Oh, I feel bad for Cellz.
I feel terrible for Cellz. I don't know what happened there in that moment, but he's gone. That's one thing I do know for sure. And Oxygen is not going to slow down unless Moaries has something to say about it. He needs to disengage, get away with this sniper if he can. A little bit of a rope of dope, bait and switching. Utility out, though. Opportunity persists. He takes one great shot. That's going to hit Rocky super hard. Moaries trying to get away. He's going to be dropped. Cellz is rotated in, though. Throws utility at his feet, forced up on Rocky, takes him down. Now he can double back and force the issue onto Pushyz. Pushyz hits a great shot. And Oxygen will recover and take the 2 hills to their favor unless Morty has something to say about it. He is back for revenge. Moaries dropped off a little bit earlier, but Pushyz clutches up again. He could do no wrong.
Yep, and he's wasting so many members' time here. He is going to eventually die. He is eventually going to get taken out. But realize he wasted at least 3 members' times at different occasions, which is allowing this Oxygen team to kind of disperse, to get onto the map, to overtake that 2-to-1 hill. And if you look at the score in just a few short seconds, they're going to overtake the time as well. So it's very, very important. Lava, Moaries on that side of the map really figure out what exactly the game plan and the strategy is. And it looks like they want to attack this neutral. Cross over the top coming through from Lava. Rocky is going to be pushed back just a little bit. Abolics doing what he can, but he's going to be the first one down. He's going to be the first one taken out, or at least possibly so. But Rocky turns the tides yet again. A big double kill. The hill does not even get decapped, and he's going to get that revive onto Abolics.
You know, sometimes, Jacob, it takes one player to turn the tides and give the momentum back to your team. Lava was that man doing it for Noble as we were pointing him out. This case for Oxygen, it has to be Rocky. Rocky putting a team on his back and playing absolutely flawlessly. And everywhere you look on the kill feed, Noble just not able and not really up to snuff at this point. Oxygen having their way, kill feed lighting up red. And this is looking like yet another round Oxygen is going to stack in their corner. There's no reason why I don't think Noble, or why I think Noble is going to win this round. Oxygen, they're going to be up 3-0, Jacob, and Noble doesn't look like they're ready to even start playing it at this point.
Yep. This one, if I'm Noble, obviously I'm not too concerned. You're going to try your efforts to make a last-second push to kind of go on through. You're also at the same time kind of cognizant of without a miracle, this round's over. So no, we're stressing over any of these results. They're going to get that neutral hill. I think Morty did get taken out. With Morty getting taken out, Lava getting taken out as well, that's going to be an Oxygen round, 3-0. But you've already seen a little moves after those losses being made by Noble. They put the bull tuck down first, but then they go ahead and say, hey, we want to go ahead and fight them, make it hard for them to come through. I was thinking this was a very smart play by Cellz. Even though he didn't get taken out, the way he threw the flash on the left side allowed him to get that extra bit of time to fight the 1v1 on the other side.
Yeah, I thought that was great too. Pushing Rocky in that moment after Utility's thrown was the best play. It's just it happens that Pushyz wanted it a bit more. Pushyz was handling his own in that side of the map at Depot just so incredibly well. I mean, Noble members were funneling into his Nasher, and he was just getting chunk after chunk after chunk. That's a 3-0 lead. Noble, they've got to step it up, but there is one good thing to take note of. They did it on, just before Tomb Execution, and Oxygen isn't on map point just yet. So if Noble can start chaining together some rounds, there might be hope. But I'm not going to have too much hope, Jacob, until they, win at least 2 in a row, right? That's going to kind of be my turning point, if you will. But hey, a little bit of a better start, it seems. Oxygen forced to rotate up to Overlook, and Noble's playing, I think, much better as a team.
Cellz, even though it looks like it's gonna be over, it never actually is. Noble always figuring out a way to survive, to thrive, to fight back when things look bleak. It was a 2v2 situation, is now coming down to a 2v1. Another rotation coming over. If he somehow gets this elimination onto Morty and figure out a way to stay alive, that would have been big, because Morty's actually that sniper player who's trying to go ahead and take the high ground. We know how threatening sniper and high ground combination can be.
Yeah, Morty's going to showcase that exactly, Jacob. All he does to do is just connect a couple of body shots, and it's going to be pretty awkward for the boys of Oxygen. Currently split up 2-2. Morty knows there's a player down below. Not much he can really do, and that's going to be Pushyz, who has the opportunity to maybe go on a flank. So Morty's just trying to keep his head on a swivel, keep that player in check if he can. He's also going to be worried, though, about players 6 and 8, and that's going to be Abolics and Zoom, who might try to push in on B, which is not going to be easy. Morty just, again, needs to connect onto one body, and before you know it, Lava and Moaries are going to Lancer, snub out, and those players are going to drop off the map. And Oxygen's kind of, I wouldn't say confused, but I don't know if they really know what their push needs to be at this point. I guess they need to cause as much chaos as possible, and Pushyz is that guy to do it, but not for long. Great shot from Morty.
Yeah, that one was definitely play to make, to where you can go ahead and discombobulate them, because Pushyz goes and gets that flank that allows these other 2 members to continue to push up, put that pressure on, and then backtrack from neutral hill. But now they are allowed them to alleviate that pressure, because there's no hill at the top of this. They're just looking for the elimination. They're looking to push these players off. And even if Oxygen gets to this top side of the map, you see where Morty's positioned himself. He's going to continue to rail down this damage. Zoom takes a shot, and that's the shot was just enough. 2 more players going down, and on the other side of the map, they are going ahead and pushing up. They're making moves, but there's no hill, there's no weapon, there's nothing over there for him, as Noble just outsmarts them in way of rotations.
Yeah, great shot from Noble. Again, they needed to get the ball rolling, and this is their opportunity to do so. This is their round, Jacob. Oxygen, they will finally lose 1, and Noble will not stop the bleeding, but at least it's down to a trickle at this point in time. Again, I'm not going to get too excited for Noble until they win 2 rounds in a row, and that means they need to win the next one, round number 5. But we're going to a fresh half and a fresh start for Noble. And, that Overlook fight, though, hasn't been going too well for them. But again, the Overlook fight really isn't too standard anymore, because you have the sniper in hell just below that of Overlook. So at this point, I mean, Noble can still play well. I mean, I don't know. Do you think the chance for them to come back are real after that last round? What do you think?
100%. You're already seeing it in the map number 2. I think it was 3 straight rounds, 4 straight rounds for Noble to be able to come back. And that's the thing here. Is these round-based game modes, we talk about how good it can be, how you can kind of refresh the strategy, you can kind of think of a new move, make your audibles, make your adjustments, but on the same time, that just allows more time for those mistakes, for those errors, for the bad side of things to kind of feed at you and really play a role and an impact coming into this one. So it's just trying to see which version of Oxygen we'll see into the second half. The one that has kind of crumbled to the same pressure early on in Noble in the series, or the one that will overcome and close out this map.
Player 5 has snuck through the cracks, though. It's going to be Pushyz. He's home to home, and that's going to make things a bit awkward for Noble, as they're going to be pinned up on Overlook. Still, though, things aren't too scary. Pushyz is going to be challenged, I'm sure, by 2 Noble members when they come off the respawn, but losing the Overlook fight too, now things start to get worrisome, and Noble's going to have to hightail it straight into their home hill. Lava throws out some utility. Abolics misses that shot. The roll's in. Lava's down, and that's going to be a domination. And, I said things weren't going to be too scary, but Pushyz winning that fight against Moaries, obviously the team of Oxygen winning the fight on Overlook, then things got a little bit weird, and Oxygen takes the domination. That's a big round, and that momentum and that storyline we were trying to build up for Noble might have just went out the window.
Yep. This is where if you're gonna make a big move on the side of Noble to try to change the up, you put the M bar, the drop shot, the boom shot at the top side of the map, because they're not going to grab that retro that they pushed down there. So right now it is dead even in terms of initials for Noble. So you have as good a chance as any, but they're gonna do one better. That's something we talked about week after week, waiting to kind of see that one in action. They put the ensigns down center line, a kind of big weapon to kind of fight for, especially because of its kill potential, but it absolutely negates the other side of things of Oxygen placing it on their side.
Ooh, Cellz going to be the one leading the charge, as he typically is. Rocky is going to take the right side. Morty is finally going to slowly come into play in the moment. Abolics is going to be opposite now of Cellz. Sniper's going to be picked up from Moaries. A lot of moving pieces at the moment. Moaries trapped, though. Shock is going to keep him pinned up for the bit. Cellz pushes in. Abolics gets hit very hard, but he's not going to be down. In fact, Abolics will turn around and take down Morty, too. That's going to be 2 players down from the side of Noble off the rip.
Yeah, I love the switch up coming through. It was a blunder in that round number 11 on execution, where I talked about the hesitation when Moaries was down at spawn. You don't have to tunnel. You don't have to go for the down. You can go for a mismatch on the other side of the map. Pushyz, he shocked the player out and immediately went for a flank. He didn't second guess. He didn't hesitate. And that went ahead and put Oxygen into this position here. And they have another instant available to use. But this is where I always love to see. Use it in terms of rotation. Don't just get a kill and buy yourself 10 seconds on the clock. Now you push forward. Let that lead to something. Go ahead and get a little bit extra here onto this rotation. Take the right side of the map. Don't allow them an opportunity to fight back, which is looking like what they're going to do here.
Moaries, Cellz down low. Not going to be easy, though, to push into Rocky going up those stairs. Lava's down, too. That's going to make this overextension. I think that's what Noble was wanting to do. They were wanting to capitalize off of Moaries and continue that push forward. Moaries obviously back into play, but Lava's down. Cellz, he's just got to be pinned up in the moment. Zoom will take down at least 1 member of Morty. Cellz is going to try his hand at the fight. Pushyz is rotating up, and Cellz is already down. And that was a good read from Oxygen, picking up Moaries off that rip and then eventually transitioning over towards Lava. Stop that overextension. We see players go mid from underneath and they transfer over, and it didn't work out. At this point, Noble, they've got one more final retake left. If they fail it, it's over with. Great shot.
Lava is separated from the rest of the team. That was perfect shot coming through, and you can kind of see Noble not necessarily on the same page. Down coming through, but because of that shock, they can't necessarily go for it just yet, but they find yet another elimination come through. Oxygen Esports just seconds away from closing out this map. If Cellz dies here, it's all over. That'll be the final nail in the coffin, but Cellz doing what he can to keep the team alive. He's going to get a decap to come through, but time is not on his side. Oxygen will come back and storming through to dominate map number 3, 5-1, and get their first map in the series.
That's the way you answer back. You don't answer back by winning a map 5-4. A victory's a victory. You give them credit. But you set an example and you say what? You say this series isn't going to be how it played out in those first 2 maps. Again, Escalation tends to be the big turning point for teams that are down 2-0. And for Oxygen, well, they make the series finally interesting. We're going to be heading into Control Reactor. I'm excited for this one. I was looking at the stats, Jacob, and you know what? I was talking about Noble and how talented they are in Reactor, and rightly so. I don't think they've lost it yet. So let's see who they beat. Reactor, they beat 393 Dream Conspiracy. They beat Team Queso 300-232. That's not too bad. That's not too bad.
Yeah, that's too good, but I mean, it's not the league team yet.
And then they beat Rebel 300-271.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, you say what you want to say. Those are still some good victories. Now move over to Oxygen. And Reactor not played as much, but when they did play Team Queso, they beat them 300-117. So the point is, both teams have wins, but Noble has been playing on Reactor clearly much more as of recently, and they have been successful every single time they found themselves against their opponent on Reactor. Yeah, they've lost Regency before, they've lost other maps, Spire, whatever, but they haven't lost Reactor. So this very well could end in a way of 3-1. So I'm putting the pressure on Oxygen, clearly, heading into the next map.
Yeah, honestly, I think the biggest thing out of the statistics that you said wasn't necessarily the victories, wasn't necessarily the score lines, but it was the reps. It was being able to play on those maps, figure out how you want to maneuver through, figure out those angles, secret angles, something you might be saving for a moment like this. But to me, the reason why I want to see and give Oxygen the upper hand, obviously my predictions, of course, but because they have a more aggression. And because a lot of these fights go down, yeah, there's some passageways like Regency where you can get a lot of crossfire to go through, but there's more covers, there's more ways where you can regenerate health to kind of come through. So because of that, I do think Oxygen are going to have more moments to kind of brute force their way through. You've seen how good Rockies has been playing so far. I think he's going to continue to play and be the shining light for Oxygen. But not only that, is I want to see somebody else really step it up. Abolics, Zoom did step it up in that last match. 17k damage, over 5,000 for his next teammate. So he was really a leading force in that escalation. So I just need to see consistency that is somebody else other than Rocky.
Interesting you say brute force, right? That's what Oxygen needs to do. But they tried to brute force the hills on Regency, Jacob. They did, and it didn't work out in their favor, right? Noble quite simply outplayed them rotationally, spawn-wise. But I will give you credit, though, whenever it does come to Reactor, it is about brute force, isn't it? I mean, it's a lot more close quarter fights. It's all about swarming on those hills. And with Rocky and Abolics and co playing as well as they are, this map might benefit them more so with that brute force attempts than it did on Regency, where it's more about thinking with your head as opposed to using your brawn. So who knows how this one's going to go? Again, I mentioned some stats. You mentioned, or you kind of highlighted the fact that when it comes to Noble, they got more reps. They really do. Yep. Again, I think this is the best possible scenario for Noble to be in. They're up 2-1 in the series. They've lost Escalation. Okay, so what? But they're heading into Control Reactor, one map that they have a lot of experience on, a lot of reps as of recently. And most importantly, this is their map pick, and they've already won the Control map pick for Oxygen. So right now the ball is in Noble's court. It's up to Oxygen to take it away. I'm curious if they're going to be able to do it. I expected a map 4 or a map 5, and I want to see a map 5, quite honestly. Map 4, in my opinion, isn't going to be enough. With what Oxygen just showed us, I think they have more life and more gas left in the tank.
Yeah, the only thing though is this does go to a map number 5. A lot of people would be talking about, how is that affecting Noble mentally? But I don't think it's going to affect them too much because we've seen them down but not out too many times before. And especially knowing if you have Cellz or possibly Moaries or Lava leading the charge, getting that front spawn, I think they're going to be in a good position. But and Morty's as well, there's so many definite front spawn certified players that can take the charge of Canals. But the thing about it, I like them as well, is the depth of their strategy and how they will pack together. So I could see a lot of 4 down lows come through if they go on Canals. But the thing is, if we still have to get through Reactor. And like I said, the biggest thing that separates this map different between Regency is the amount of little covers that you're able to kind of hide behind, regenerate health, use to kind of take some shots so you don't even take those shots for your health yourself. But then obviously that big middle high ground that can really affect everywhere else on the map that Regency doesn't necessarily have.
Yeah, and that's going to come down to pretty dominant 1v1 players. And we've seen impressive 1v1s, both not only from Noble, but also from Oxygen. One of the things, though, to kind of take note of is the fact that how many team fights Noble won on Regency. I understand it's a different map, but Noble was winning basically every single team fight against Oxygen. And those team fights are going to be very prevalent here on Reactor. We talked about the brute force from Oxygen, and I give them credit, and I think they could brute force their way into the hill. But when they were trying to do that on Regency, they were meeting a brick wall, and that brick wall was in the form of Noble. So at this point, Oxygen, they have to win these team fights. There's no ands, if, or buts about it. And that mid control needs to be won. But more importantly, those team fights need to be won, and convincingly. I think they can do it. I really do. I want to see them do it, not because of they're my pick, but because we're this close to the summer major, right? This is the last chance we get to see Noble and Oxygen play, unless they meet up against each other in the bracket at some point. But with that being said, Chad, are you still feeling confident about your picks? I'm curious because you know what? Noble, those players or those chat members who went for Noble, they're about to make some bank, brother. Especially if they invested a lot, because the odds were stacked in Oxygen's favor.
Hey, that happens time and time. Sometimes it's not even people like voting for them to win. It's just like, hey, let me throw 10 points. Let me throw 100 points down just in case. It's not going to hurt me too much. But man, if this one pays off, it's like putting $1 into the lottery. If this one pays off, I'm a channel point millionaire. They're just going ahead and just, let's let this one come through. But another thing to really take note of is on Regency, you saw Noble back roll deep into their spawns a lot, try to maintain control of the actual spawn point on the hill. It's not as easy as it is on this map as it could be on Regency, especially because of that top middle. You're able to spot players out and figure out where the rotation is to come through. But I still see them trying to intact that same style of play, using your teamwork, because obviously you can go ahead and make something happen. But as long as you have 4 players alive, you can almost make anything work, especially if you have the utility grenade. You can mismatch. You can even sacrifice a player, take the brute force of that Lancer damage, bait and switch. Then you can go in and try to find an easy chunk or a down on the side of Noble, which we've seen them do on Regency already today.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? You're right. A lot of those team fights were won, given the fact that they were rolling back into the spawn, creating that distance. Like you mentioned, you're not going to be able to do that on Reactor. You're just simply not. You have to fight, and that's why certain teams are so good on this map. Fire and Ice is one of them because their aggression. They love getting into those up close and personal fights, and it works out best for them. Or it works out. I shouldn't say best, but sometimes it definitely works out. I would say they're one of the most dominant teams on that map. For say, Vanquish is an incredible team there, but Vanquish is good across the board. I'm curious how that EU matchup goes in just a little bit. Rematch from E-Days. But, you mentioned Rocky, and Cellz is my guy to watch out for Noble. His impact on Regency control was incredible. He had the most damage across the board. He had the most eliminations, too, for Noble as a whole. Cellz is my guy to directly counter that of Rocky, but most importantly, have one of the biggest impacts for Noble as they head into this and try to get the hill breaks. But Jacob, enough talking. It is time to see some action, and this first team fight is going to be telling.
Yeah, and we know who I got, like you said, Rocky on the side of Oxygen for me. You're looking at Cellz on the side of Noble. I want to get the chat involved. Let you know who we might be missing out on here. Are you guys going to go ahead and agree with one of us? But like you said, to start this one off, it's going to be Morty, a name we didn't even mention. They're getting first blood, taking down Rockies, but you can already see the difference in strategy. They sacrifice an extra man on the other side of things so Pushyz can get the torque bow and quickly put it to use to go ahead and get that double kill, and that affected the other side of the map. Even though he did get eliminated, torque bow almost switching hands there, or going to go ahead and switch hands inside of Cellz. They win that hill.
Enemy contact!
All right, Rocky taking that middle position, which we talked about. Like you said, Cellz down at the moment. Oxygen off to honestly a decent start. Plus Zoom picking up the frags. You got the shot going to the way of Rocky. This is a great opportunity for Oxygen to establish an early lead, and more importantly, I think establish the fact that, Noble, it's not going to go to the way of you guys this time around. You may have won Regency, but this is a different map, a different play style, and given your reps before, it doesn't matter. Those reps were against different teams. It wasn't against us. So Oxygen setting an example, and off an impressive start in general. Abolics using this right angle. Takes down Morty in a moment. Good shot, though, or it should be good nade from Zoom. That's going to put Moaries by himself as he's kind of looking left and right. He's like, where'd my teammates go? He's by himself. And again, Oxygen, a phenomenal start. It's going to be 45-5.
Yep, and they have an opportunity here to sandwich on the side of Oxygen, but Rocky has to be careful here. He's going to be the Lone Ranger, the man by himself, a possible push target, but on the other side of things, they're going to go ahead and cross him out. That little bit of damage from across the map is going to make the difference here. Pushyz finds one. Lava goes down shortly after. Zoom with that second grenade, using it to perfection. They're just staggering out their opponents, bleeding them out dry one by one. Morty falls as well. Cellz is going to be the last one alive, taken out. They find all four and take a massive lead in these first beginning portions of this game.
Massive lead indeed. Oxygen looking so good. This is what we needed from them. A game 5 looming around the corner, and Oxygen holds the destiny in their hands, and once again might prove that Escalation is quite honestly the turning point to shift the momentum back in your favor. Here comes that headbutt, that brute aggression that we talked about before. This time though, it's going to be in Noble's hand, and Cellz goes for the pick on the torque. He should be all right. That Lancer fire was incredible, and that shock is good too. Noble can't push through that. They're forced to go to the right.
Yeah, he definitely wanted that deeper, but that's one of the blunders. It's one of the things I always talk about. Effectiveness of your two utility, but what about effectiveness of power weapons? Cellz gets a double kill. We've seen Pushyz early on for Oxygen, but Cellz doing what he can to try to even up the tide. Big power weapon usage is something that really has taken over games in the past. A nice shot from Lava, but Rocky not going down without a fight. The back A, the up A, the help from Zoom, the kill. They're going to stagger them out and try to get an early positional lead here onto the next hill.
Like positional lead, and that's exactly where they're going at the point, at this moment at least. And for Oxygen, again, well ahead of the curve. Noble struggling, not like they did on Regency, right? Noble was the first team to normally be at the fresh hills, be on those early rotations. This time around, Oxygen is just quite simply outgunning and outrunning the team of Noble. And I gotta say it, that's what I expected on Regency. I really did, but this time around, they are looking incredible. Noble is forced to push through a large opening. Zoom, utility in hand. He's most likely gonna go for this push, but Noble does a great job back rolling. So now Zoom, the element of surprise gone. He's not gonna be affected. Moaries, though, is gonna try and swing it wide, and my goodness, Zoom's still alive. Tries to go for the meat shield, and Rocky, he's gonna go ahead and chunk out that nade, and more importantly, take down Cellz in the meantime. Noble, last member up. It's gonna be Lava. He's just trying to keep it competitive, forced to back roll out, and Oxygen continues to garner more of a lead.
Yeah, they're averaging about 45 points on each of these hills. to the average of obviously Noble's 11 here. 17 of their 22 points for Noble came off of that second hill, and honestly, Oxygen is beginning to suffocate their opponent. They're scoring yet a majority of the second hill time. So Noble, I talked about it, map number 1. It's where they kind of turn the tides. It's either put up or shut up offensively here. But you have to be careful. With only 24 seconds left, a victory isn't necessarily the best thing you can do here. It's your teammates, your enemies will spawn elsewhere on the map, but it does look like overall Noble will have the last lap onto that hill.
And Noble, yeah, last lap, but for what though? Just mere points, pennies if you were on $1 as Oxygen. They're getting the whole dollar at this point. Rocky around that corner catches Morty off guard, and that's a frustrating feeling, Jacob. There's so many angles and opportunities to catch a player just like Morty did, and or excuse me, that Rocky did. You know what? That's just the way it crumbles. It really is. Rocky getting that torque bow, things get even harder for Noble. This might be a sweep if Noble's not careful.
First 2 hills, they scored 45. This time around, they scored about 48 points on the side of Auction to 15. So they scored 5 on the first hill, then 17, then 15. They're just getting scrap time. They get whatever is left over from the Oxygen team, whatever they don't want anymore. So they're gonna have to figure out a way to get offensive here. Even though they're getting some points here, they have to get these eliminations to kind of back it up, so those points turn into a massive amount. Pushyz gets 1, but traded through. 2 more eliminations falling in the side of Noble, but even back up as Abolics finds out Lava. But the biggest thing here is Noble players are together. They're going ahead and wolf packing and taking 2v1 after 2v1, but Pushyz said it's done. It's over with. Let me get that elimination. Moaries going ahead and turns the tides. They're on the other side, but this is scrap time for both of these teams. Noble has not been able to get a footing onto this hill, even though they're getting a good portion of the time.
Yeah, not a footing at all. 58 seconds or 58 points isn't going to cut it. They need quite a bit more. Oxygen needs one more successful hill to put Noble on the back pedal, where Oxygen just could fight for the scrap time like they're doing now. This is going to put them around the 180 mark. Morty trying to get away. Nowhere to go. He's going to get Lancer down and done and dusted. Got Pushyz around the corner. Cellz also around the corner too as Noble looks to get the break. Moaries is going to push in. Finally, the cat's out of the bag. He knows Oxygen is set up too. This is going to be a big headbutt battle, and Oxygen is looking to take that top side position. It's going to be difficult. Moaries tries to open up the door, but Rocky too smart for it. He's going to capitalize on the 1. Cellz now, a lot of pressure on the hill, and as Pushyz goes in. Nice shot, though, from Cellz for his credit. And this might be good. Maybe Cellz needs to pick up at least 2, and I don't know if he's going to be able to, but that's 1, that's 2. My goodness. Oh, he doesn't get it. He doesn't get the second. He's down. Lava is going to be the hero, and Noble gets a successful break despite them looking like maybe they weren't.
Yep, Noble has definitely been on the up and up. Even though Auction did score a good number of points on the last hill, 24 points for Noble. That was the highest scoring hill so far. And sometimes just inches at a time reflections that can kind of get you back into the game to build up momentum, but trailing about 104 points here is going to be big, but they're closing the gap little by little here, and this is where Oxygen's going to have to make this decision with torque bows left, 2 to be exact. You continue to battle, go and through, try to break the hill, the remaining time, which is less than 40 seconds, or you set up for the next hill.
Setting up for next might be a good alternative here, in my opinion, especially with the lead that you have. There's no reason to lose your life, and you also have to think too, if you do in fact win over this hill, like for example taking down Mortify, is it going to be enough? Because now he's going to be spawning and might be closer to the next hill. In this case though, you can see him rotating in. It's going to be a bit of a battle between him and Pushyz. Either way, Oxygen's fully committing, and to their credit, Jacob, they're going to be successful, but for what? Again, now you're winning 9 seconds. This is where Oxygen, in my opinion, could catch themselves into some trouble if they're not careful.
I don't even know what is going on with Cellz right now. Double melee. He is so weak on the side of Abolics right now. He's wasting time. Found 1 elimination. Abolics just happened to be alive here. He's going to run, turn, try to get out, and just thank the Lord. He just figured out a way to survive there in that situation. As Oxygen still up on points. They're scrapping together the very ending portion of that time, but exactly what you said. Those early eliminations allow the players Noble to spawn over, but they've been quickly put back on respawn, taken out by Oxygen as they continue to extend their lead.
Yeah, and they're going to extend that lead for sure. It's at 199, quickly about to break 200, and they will. Noble does close the gap a little bit, but not nearly enough to feel comfortable. Once again, back against the wall, having to fight tooth and nail to recover at least this deficit. And I like the fact that Oxygen has spread themselves out. They're going to isolate player 5. Oxygen chooses to send 2 players off of the hill, meanwhile leaving Rocky and Zoom in a 1v3 because they want to prioritize the middle section, but my goodness, I guess it doesn't matter if it was a mismatch. Pushyz and co, they look to capitalize. Lava, though, gets the last laugh, now forced to go against Abolics. Abolics is getting Lancered in the back, and what looked great for Oxygen turns into an even better performance and defensive hold from Noble. But that could have got weird really quick, but Oxygen sending 2 players to mid? That was a questionable play.
Yep, and this is where Oxygen, I feel like they're just going with emotions right now. They're just playing another game of Gears of War. Meanwhile, on the side of things, Noble, they're just focused up, taking one hill at a time, making sure that they're on their P's and Q's, the ABCs, to take control of these hills as they have 3 players swarming. They have that top mid control in the hands of a Cellz as a possible angle to come through, but they have to dodge the grenades. They have to stay alive first. They do just that. So step 1 is already complete, and they have the high ground. A flash grenade is going to allow Lava to try to press up on this positioning, but taking too much damage. Across over to the top, he's going to have to reassess the situation. Cellz is going to go ahead and contest that hill. Battles are going down, but Cellz just embarrasses his opponent on Abolics. Gets that cross angle, the help from both players, Lava, Morty, everybody doing their part. Noble with this hill, if they can control this Reflections, they will tie this game back up.
Things are starting to look scary for Oxygen. They really are. Such a great start, but, you know, I've been pointing out little bits and pieces of mistakes they've been making, Jacob. Again, challenging scrap time when they shouldn't. Sending 2 players to mid and allowing a mismatch for Noble to go for a 3v2 on the last hill, ultimately taking it over. And in this case, now Noble does a great job just fighting. Oxygen not really making a mistake, but Noble just doing it better. Zoom looking to be the hero. Oh, my Lord. Zoom looking to be the hero, and he will be. Oxygen recovers the hill for themselves. Morty, he was laying down that cover fire, but it doesn't matter if no one is there to capitalize off of it.
Yeah, that's the only thing there. It's nice to have that angle, but if you see your teammates dying left and right, you almost feel it tug onto your heartstrings there as your hopes onto that hill, getting that points, going out the window, and Oxygen doing a good job of bleeding this hill dry, getting it as close to that 300-point mark as absolutely possible. And that puts the pressure on a Noble of securing and holding a player back to make sure that nobody gets that scrap time on the side of Oxygen Esports, which can spread their defense thin, allow for any individual to try to make a play. But that play where I'm looking at right now is going to be in the hands of Cellz. He lands it, gets that torque bow on the Zoom just in time, but the separation is there. He goes down. He gets cleaned up by Pushyz. Torque bow, I still believe, might be on the ground and in play.
And if it is, that's going to be a big pickup, but no one's got their hands on it just yet at the moment. Pushy still trying to find an angle to get in and help his teammate. Zoom will take down Lava, and that's going to push them up a little bit more. And you said Pushy has it, and he does. Things looking good for Oxygen. They get the break, and a much-needed one, in fact, and that's going to continue elevating them up to 300 points. And there are enough points off of this hill to take the win. I assume Noble's going to get a touch, but who knows? If Oxygen can keep them at bay long enough, especially Pushy's with one more bolt, this could be possible to win off this hill alone.
Yeah, I love the relocation coming through from Pushyz here. He has that torque bow. You know he's not gonna have a Lancer. It's gonna come pistol fire from across. He's also going to come a target here. Quickly back down. Zoom finds one, but it's going to be a trade of downs. The quick revive from both of these teams. Flank opportunity from Rocky with only 27 seconds left. You almost think he screamed something right now. Made a direct call. Him and Pushyz have been the co-IGLs since this team's inception. He's calling for a rotation to come through with only 27 seconds left on the clock for Oxygen to take this map and force a game number 5. They want to play it safe. They want to play it sound, and they want to wait for next.
And that's the way to do it. Go back to your ABCs, okay? Play it safe. Nothing wrong with that. Pushy's a bit interesting that he rotates as soon as Noble gets there, and he's going to be punished for that. That rotation shouldn't have happened. He should have stood his ground and forced the 1v2 where he was at when he had cover. That could bite them in the butt. Noble does successfully get onto the hill. Look, we've seen leads blown even on this map, Jacob, and at this point for Noble, there is still a possibility they close this series out 3-1. Again, Oxygen making silly little mistakes here and there, and those silly little mistakes Noble is looking to capitalize off of.
Yeah, you got to think right now, Cellz is just looking for any and all marks to be kind of dished out to him. He has to be careful over the top. Pushyz becomes a target. Pushyz did just enough. He helped get one elimination to come through. Cellz again from the top side of the map. He affects that fight tenfold. Even though Rockies has position in the hill, it's making it to where he can't maneuver around. He's forced up A. Moaries takes him out, and they're definitely closing the gap. Only 17 seconds for Oxygen. This is where we talked about, with the score being that close for Oxygen, Noble have to leave men onto the hill, coming down to the very wire every single one of these rotations.
And now you got a question, does Oxygen force this fight? Well, I guess they have to. You can't really run away, can you? Because you know Noble's just going to be peppering you in the back whenever you try to dip out. Oh, great elimination from Cellz. Meat Shield's going to be in hand. This is going to be a big hold from Noble. Picks up yet another Cellz. Pop off, King. I see you. Player to watch in for a good reason. Picks up another. Is this a team ace? Is this going to be a team ace? Maybe. And yes, it will be. Pop off, King. Like I said, Cellz, a beautiful play.
That was a must-have. Like I said, you got to be careful. They have to bleed these hills dry. Any seconds are good seconds for Oxygen. Only 50 left for Noble to the 16 for Oxygen. This has to be a Herculean effort for Noble on their side. They have to get eliminations. They have to get the objective. They have to be cognizant of the respawns and hold the angles as a team as well, as they're going to have to look like the Avengers here. Ooh,
Gotta say, they definitely are. Yeah, I mean, look at this. Noble. And you know what? How I said I've seen comebacks happen on this map, Jacob. Well, this is the hill where I've seen the most comebacks happen on, and Noble has put themselves in the driver's seat. All those little mistakes Oxygen has been making when they had that lead, I don't know if they got too comfortable or what was going on, have now started to pay off for Noble. Moaries hits a nice shot onto one. Doubles back, he's safe. Abolics on the ground, still not dead yet. He's picked back up. Moaries takes down Pushyz, but Pushyz gets picked back up. Oxygen, there is still light at the end of the tunnel, but will it be closed off? Morty is going to manage to get the cleanup on the Pushyz. Abolics is also going to fall, and Noble retakes the hill. You only got one player. Rocky's on the outside. I think Noble has just done and completed the comeback.
Bro, before this hill, they were like on a 77-11 run at one point. Talk about a comeback. They have never left Noble with just a few short seconds. Torpo can play a buster. Lava goes down, though. 2 seconds left. There's enough for both of these teams to win on this hill, but they have to keep it contested on the side of Noble. There's still time. There's still time.
Oh, my Lord.
They can still take this. It's going to be up to Lava. Chris Anderson, the leader of this roster, all the experience, the hopes, and the dreams. They need the eliminations. They get to go ahead and get the contestation to come through. They get it
wow.
But it's not enough. Oxygen hold on with only 16 seconds to complete the closeout and force a game number 5.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Noble had the map in their hands. They almost completed a massive comeback, but Oxygen will take the win, 300 to 298. And I have a question. Are you not entertained? This series, it's a good one. Don't be mistaken by the 2-0 lead. Oxygen, they weren't done yet. We have map 5 coming up after this break. It's going to be Canals execution. You don't want to miss out, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Gears Pro League Day 13. Hey, it's not disappointing, Jacob. I gotta say, man, I'm impressed. Noble had really the map in their fingertips, capping out at 298. But Oxygen wasn't done yet. And you know what? Cellz popped off for the L, but pop off he did. And that gives me good faith heading into Canals. But brother, this one came down to the wire. One of the most exciting controls I've seen in a while.
No, it's definitely had me on the edge of my seat, but with the closing reeks to the Pro League, I said it to start it, but man, did I not expect it to come this way. It was at one point a 77-11 run for Noble on the hill time. They extended that 77 run to 11. It ended up being 98-11. But that was it. That was what woke up Oxygen, realizing 98 points. They needed just 2 more on the side of Noble. Oxygen woke up and closed it out.
Yeah, Oxygen woke up indeed. And Oxygen needed to wake up because that was scary. You know, it's funny. We're going back. I want to go back to your original point, and you mentioned, you know, I think specifically if Oxygen did send it to a map 5 Noble, would they be phased by that, or would they be okay? And you said they wouldn't be. We have a person in chat, shout out to you, his name is Young. He says, Noble is done, they won't recover. And I have to ask you now, has your mindset changed? I know it was theoretical when you were talking then, but now that it's a reality, do you think like Young thinks? Do you think Noble is done? Will they be able to come back from a loss like that?
Have you seen this highlight play right here, right now? They lost by 2 points. They lost by a mere 2 points, and half of that highlight was still Cellz. So you could sit here and watch that game and ask me, is Noble done? Cellz will never give up. He will never go down without a fight. And even though I predicted against them, he will always look for an opportunity to make me look stupid and embarrass me here. So do I think they are done? No, I do not. I just think he needs a little bit more help. Just a little bit more help. Everybody's doing their part on the side of Noble, but I just need somebody to make a playmaking part.
You know what? I think that's fair, brother. I think that's fair. You know, honestly, that was just a good map. It really was. I will say, one of the things, though, about Noble taking that loss is the fact that, I mean, they were already losing. You know, they had already lost that map, essentially. They were the ones who put destiny in their hands and started coming back. So for them to be down as much as they were, and you were highlighting, I think, what, 70-something to whatever, and the fact that they come back and only lose by 2 points, yeah, they suffer a loss. Does that take any wind out of their sails? No, it doesn't. Quite honestly, it might give them more win in their cells because they're like, look, we just almost won a map 4. We just about came back on you guys. You were the ones making mistakes we were capitalizing on. And I think that should show Oxygen. Never get lackadaisical. You need to stay and keep your head in the game. Because I'm telling you, Jacob, those mistakes, Noble were eating them alive when those mistakes were being made. And on Canals execution, those mistakes are magnified tenfold because you make one mistake, you lose your life. First Bloods, they get converted more often than not. And at that point, Noble, they're going to be taking the edge. But let's talk about Canals execution. You mentioned a lot of good plays from Noble in the past. What can we expect going into this one?
I mean, kind of from both of these teams, both of them are kind of keep each other guessing, especially since, you know, they're not, you know, the full-on strategy depth rosters that we know them for. A lot of their wins do come from a lot of aggression. It comes from shotgun-style plays, wolf packing around together, and I don't think that's going to stray too far from what we're going to see here on Canals. We're going to see some torque bow attempts coming through, possibly sending some 4 players down low, maybe overextending an extra player up top to try to take control of the middle bridge, but overall, you're going to see a fight towards the bottom steps of that middle bridge where they're going to jockey for control, for position to be the first player to try to get on towards that middle bridge unscathed. Unlike Canals, from Gears War 1 or these past Gears War franchise, the snipers are not going to be in play, so you don't have to be aware of getting headshotted once you roll up. So it's going to be more of an opportunity to get there. It's just to figure out how you're going to go ahead and get there. And sometimes you see players get a little bit antsy, a little bit over aggressive. They go before the flash pops, before the smokes go ahead and dissipates, so that way they're still marked out. They're still spotted out, so they need to be very, very careful of their timing.
You know, last time we witnessed Noble play on Canals, it was with Thing 2 last week. That their coach and their sub, at least from Mortify, they lost 1-6 to Rebel. It was just not a great showing at all. This time around, things obviously have been different and will be different. I'm looking at Pushyz and Rocky, though, specifically to be the big playmakers for Oxygen. I think Pushyz, if I'm not mistaken, is the guy that does challenge mid-bridge more so than Rocky. I think he is the front spawn, if I'm not mistaken, Jacob.
No, I think that's what I was wondering. I think he is too. I think he's going to be him or Rockies, but those are the players that I'm going to be looking at here. It is actually going to be Abolics taking that front spawn. He's going to be the first one there. We already see Pushyz. He's put himself out of the fight. So if Noble realizes that, they can go ahead and swarm and take their numbers advantage. But he's actually going all the way across to get an angle. This is already an audible, a different strategy right out of the gate. Oh, Moaries, be careful, brother.
Oh, Pushy's got it. Yeah, damn. Good job to him. And Moaries, like a bat out of hell, brother. You saw him. Hey, look, the cogs were turning in his brain, and he was like, I'm about to make some moves. Nah, Pushy's going to shut him down. Zoom with the torque bow in hand. You already have first blood. You got to favor Oxygen in this moment. It is so hard to retake control, but one benefit is, oh no, and another one's going to get taken out from the corner, is just like Moaries, Mortify, right? The M&Ms dying in much the same way, bolting around a corner, and both of them getting taken out instantaneously. This was a terrible round from Noble.
Typically, I'm like, you want to do more of aggressive strat right out of the gate, but I love the idea of doing something that plays a little bit slower, and it's a little bit of a trick strat, something a little bit unorthodox, because now going into every single round here on 4, Noble has to be very careful. They have to count their man, and that might take a little bit of hesitation. It might take a few extra seconds that Oxygen could take advantage of, especially if they get aggressive here in round number 2.
All right. On board with Rocky. He's going to be challenged by Lava on the opposite end. Abolics is going to be the leader in the forefront. Forced to back up, though. Good stuns and a good counter from Noble, but even so, Noble doesn't capitalize off that. Again, a mistake, at least in my opinion. I don't believe they were stuns. You got to capitalize when you know your stuns connect. Yep. Don't be scared to push up.
No, I agree with you there. That's just an opportunity you're letting go to the wayside. But this time around, no free flank coming through from Pushyz. He's going to be matched by Morty's up top. Gotta think Pushyz has a little bit of the upper hand here, though, because he does have that right hand advantage. If he could trade some Lancer shots from Morty, not take too much damage, he can go ahead and try to aggress on towards that middle bridge, maintain his right hand advantage. But it's not as easy as it sounds, especially when you have a full 3v3 going on down low. You don't want to make that mistake up top. That'll cost your team the round.
Cellz full red still. He's going to be okay, though. 4v4 standoff at the moment. Oxygen kind of pinned up. First player down. That's Cellz. Pushyz going in to respond to that down. These boys from Noble are ready to go. Everywhere they turn around, they're going to be running into Oxygen. Albeit, though, the nade will definitely work out in their favor. Abolics and Rocky down. Zoom also finished off, and Pushyz by his lonesome. Forced to fight a wall of Noble members. That's going to be Noble round. They tied up 1-1. That nade, hey, the hero that Noble needed.
This World War III we've seen of a series so far, coming down to a game number 5 to start off the day. That's why I told you, count them out, and I love how they won that second round. Keep it evenly matched, back and forth, back and forth. Don't give up that momentum. And you can already see that they're learning on the fly with sending Mortys towards the top side to not let that flank go through. But this is where, like I said, now you got ahead and planted that seed of aggression, of slow plays, unorthodox strats. This is where you can throw another one with a 4 down low.
All right, Cellz once again leading that charge. Noble is going to get stunned this time. I like that Oxygen. Unlike Noble in the last round, Jacob, Oxygen hits the stun, immediately takes presence on mid-bridge. That's something Noble should have done before. Albeit, though, Morty does get the drop on Abolics. He's quickly back up. The pressure is in, and Pushyz has found an angle on Morty to finally take him out. And he's going to be finished. It's a 3v4. Zoom forced to back up. Cellz down low with the torque bow in hand. Still doable and still an opportunity for Noble to tie things up here. He needs a shot. He needs a connection. Moaries trying to go for the reset. He's Lancer. Great team fire from Oxygen. And the job just got more difficult for Lava and Cellz.
It got difficult, but this is almost like the rock and slot connection on this side of things with Cellz and Lava. See what he's been able to do with the torque bow so far this series alone on the side of Cellz. Lava just creating separation between him and an opponent. Cellz is just kind of letting those bows go free, just trying to get something, grabbing at straws here, splash damage, real connection to come through, but now he's down to his last torque bow, nothing left into the quiver. So this last one is definitely going to have to count, whether he's looking at Lava's positioning or trying to get the splash damage so he can push up.
Oh, the shock.
That's a shock. That's a great shock there to create the separation.
Oh, yes.
And it forced 2 different 1v1 scenarios. Rocky took some damage as well, but Cellz goes down. Lava in a 1v3 scenario. This is where it gets tough here, especially with overtime already beginning. Rocky and Zoom closing in. Back and forth, like I said.
And back and forth, like you said. That was a beautiful shock, though, from Cellz. An opportunity to take that round in his hands was in, but he missed the second shot on the second player from Oxygen. Who knows how that would have turned out if it brings it down to a 2v2 once again. Lava was on the opposite, and he was getting pushed. But again, you have to consider Cellz in that moment would have had the off angle, and maybe we don't see Lava get pushed as hard as he did. So, like you said, back and forth, Oxygen, they take the lead once again. This time around, we'll focus on Cellz, opposite of Pushyz. He's going to be challenging up top. Meanwhile, on bridge, another standoff. You know, very rarely are we seeing someone confidently push up to mid-bridge.
Yeah, but you got to notice the little audibles that do go down. They send Cellz towards the top side of the map. They switched his positioning on with Morty. And honestly, when you have a player that is on fire, that's exactly what you have to do. Noble making that first adjustment, getting first blood onto Pushyz, which allows them to be in this positioning. With those grenades, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. They're going to funnel these players out of positioning. 2 frag grenades going down. They're going to force Oxygen forward, but with no eliminations coming through just yet. Cellz, though, catches Rocky over the top with a pop. Abolics catches Cellz flipping, but these eliminations, it's not going in way of Abolics. They get him in the triangle chokehold to take him out. 2-2. If history repeats itself, man, this is going to go to round number 11.
It might. You know what? It very well could go to around 11. And you said it, man. These guys just keep trading back and forth, and that's exactly what they're doing. Overtime Hill's going to be on market, but as fast as these rounds have been, I don't know if we'll even get to see an Overtime Hill at this point in time. Bit of a restart, or should be probably going to reach a stalemate here. Maybe an issue onto the side of Oxygen. Fair enough. At the speeds these guys have been going, I don't even mind a game pause. I'm going to be real with you.
I want to say it's Lava, but I also think Lava is like the most mature to not move out of spawn. So I'm kind of like torn here of whose fault it is.
Might be Lava.
But let me ask you, of someone who doesn't necessarily come from the past of Gears War 1, snipers on the middle bridge. I know you probably have seen some of those VODs go down, but what do you think of shot grenades instead of the snipers?
Oh, man. Well, Blaze, first and foremost,
We know what Blaze
he's so irritated now you even asked me that. No, I would have liked to seen snipers. You know what? Snipers are incredibly fun to watch. Like, come on, bottom line, period. You know, but I will say with the shocks being implemented, you know, teams not necessarily fighting for the snipes, it does make things interesting because now the focal point is on mid-bridge, which it's always been, but on mid-bridge as well as on the torque bow. So I think it allows for more looks. If the snipes were on the map, I think you would see more default plays that wouldn't be as exciting or as electrifying as the starts are with the double shocks. But that could be an unpopular opinion. Like I said, I still want to see double snipes, at least a couple of times.
I agree with you 100%, especially since the active down isn't there. I think it just opens up to kind of allowing a player that we talked about making plays. You know, if you're able to kind of hit that headshot in one of those quick moments where it's a mad dash from the middle bridge, underneath, or maybe later on in the round as it stalemates, it kind of can separate you from just being a regular Joe on the battlefield.
Let's get in there.
All right, let's see how this is going to go. They've been trading back and forth, and I believe Noble won the last round that tied up 2-2. Who's going to be the first one to chain together 2 rounds? Well, this time, things are looking a bit different, Jacob. Cellz immediately gets the quick pick on the torque bow, and no first bloods coming in just yet. We're going to have a reset, and Noble, dare I say, might have the advantage, albeit Oxygen does have mid-bridge and the nades.
Yeah, I have an inkling, a feeling. I don't know if it's Cellz directly, but it almost looks like Noble is playing around Cellz. Early on, they were trying to take the middle bridge. It was Cellz. That switch up when they set Morty down low, Cellz again towards the top side. He wasn't afraid to try to take that middle bridge. Guess what? They go for the torque bow. Another strategy mix-up. And it's Cellz once again grabbing that torque bow. I don't argue against it. I don't argue against it at all. But if you're Oxygen, you got to think to take note of these sorts of things and these sorts of little switch ups that do go down. Because if you could spot Cellz instantly, whether if it's a mark underneath the bridge or later on in the round, you can kind of navigate or at least try to get an inkling of where the play is going to go down in the first portions of it.
So Noble backed up to the far extremes. Oxygen maybe favor them on the overtime hill, you'd have to assume. And, you know, I said before, we might not get an overtime hill. I think we're going to get one here. You'd have to think anyways. What is Mortify up to? Look at this guy.
I mean, I'm just thinking, dang it, Morty. He hasn't died just yet, though, so he still has a chance. That dang it could be a positive dang it.
It could be, especially, oh, okay, here we go. Mid-bridge push is underway. Zoom, oh my lord, Zoom and Abolics, and there it is. Now, I think that was a bad Morty. What are you up to? But just as bad, Rocky connects onto Abolics. That's a team kill.
Now with the frags and makes up for it, though, by taking out Moaries. Torque bow is going to be the only tool left in the arsenal. And shock grenade towards the backside, making him end his own as he tries to rev up the torque bow, but back and forth. This way, the pendulum swings. That way, it might go as Noble is going to be the team. They have to answer back here because if they slip up on this back and forth trade of rounds, not only are you obviously giving up a round where they kind of go up towards 4, you're giving up a little bit of pressure here that you might have over Oxygen.
All right, Oxygen. They answer back, bring it 3-2 to keep the round shifting back and forth. It's a great hold for Oxygen, and that comes to show you, even if you do have, you know, pretty much, you know, the torque bow and everything in your possession, having that mid-bridge presence is everything, and Noble valued mid-bridge, even if they didn't have it, and that's why they committed 2 players to make that sneak attack and try to go for the push, but unfortunately for Noble, Abolics and Zoom just well ahead of the curve and did a great job holding their ground. I think a little bit more emphasis needed to be placed with that torque bow, more splash damage, but we didn't get that from Noble as a whole. But this time around, things are a bit different, aren't they? Noble has mid-bridge presence, but only with 1 player, and that's Cellz. And with the way that Oxygen Wolfpack's together, this could be scary. Either way, Zoom is going to try and take the edge. He takes the torque bow. Frags are thrown out, and that's going to be a great connection on Abolics, and the man advantage going to the way of Noble.
Yeah, he kind of, it looked like an overhand, but he just underhanded that one. Just a little bit of elbow grease onto that one, but Pushyz, he found a flank. He was able to get one onto Morty's, almost a full spread onto a Cellz, and getting Cellz out this late into the round, narrowing it down to a 2v2. It's like you're taking the head off of the dragon here, but Rocky's in a 1v2 situation. Zoom would have been the opportunity there. 1v1 against Cellz. Not only does he shut him down, he lets him know, and it looks like a 3v1's going to ensue from Rocky's, barring any rock bottoms, people's elbows, choke slam slams through a table. It's looking like it's going to be a Noble round.
Definitely going to be a Noble round, and I can't believe we have literally went tit for tat since round 1. Both teams taking the next round off of each other. And like you said, if it goes this way, we're going to round 11. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we are definitely going to that round 11. By the way, Armor JP did want me to tell you that whenever it does come to double snipes, and I was thinking about this, but I didn't say it on broadcast, but I'm glad he brought it up. Given the fact that less magnetism, which we did do that on the last test tournament for E-Days, which Vanquish won over E-United. If there was less magnetism and that patch did go through, or at least if we run it in the test tournament, I think double snipes on this map could be great. But with the magnetism as it is, I think double snipes not being on this map is a big positive.
I think we lose Blaze for that tournament.
You think so?
Yeah, he's going to figure out some way to get on.
You and Blaze need to play. You and Blaze need to play. Like, I will solo cast. I don't care. I will solo cast to watch a caster team play in an E-Days. I'm being real. All right, 4v2. Is this the chance for Noble to finally chain together 2 rounds, Jacob? I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be, and they do it. Hold up a second. Noble round 6 and 7 now lead 4-3. The first team to break the mold.
Now that's more pressure than ever before on this side of auction, because not only are the first team to break the mold, they chain together 2, they go up 1. So if they don't win, what would have normally been their bad side to lose here in this situation, it's almost like that pressure is just going to make them fold. Shot grenades towards each middle bridge where we're talking about the snipers. It would be going up top. It's going to be Morty this time around. And so you can kind of see Cellz going down low, possibly calling that audible to get the cross out. Lava's going to try to deal some damage. Morty up top doing what he can, but they're leaving Morty out to dry. There's a little bit of a sacrifice to go through because Lava, Cellz, they find that first down onto Zoom and they get him twice. A couple flashes coming through as they try to reclaim what control that they can, but Zoom is the biggest thing here to get out alive. He was a target. They were going to try to down him out there as he is on his last down.
I'm just curious, did Cellz spot Pushyz? I think he did. Yeah, he's going to pump the... Oh, did he? No, he didn't. He absolutely did not, and Pushyz going to catch him off. Misses the shot. No, Cellz doubles backs and takes him out, and a big whiff from Pushyz will result in a 3v3.
Put him through a table right there. Cellz just absolutely annihilates the competition, and that's why we talk about these decisions you make. Why would you pull out the shotgun, bro? Why would you let him know where you're at? It looked like he was just inching his way closer, but this is those moments right here. Talking about a must-win round for Oxygen. This is something that would surely deflate the team if they lose. Man up advantage. Yeah, you might have given up the torque bow, but you had complete control over the scenario.
Wow. Yeah, that's a big loss. If this round is lost, you got to blame Pushyz to a certain degree. That should have been a guaranteed elimination. He even had the snub shots. He had everything possible to help him in that moment, or at least he put himself in a winning position, and he missed the most critical shot. Cellz, though, I mean, his damage is through the roof. He has all the eliminations you could possibly ask for. 10 eliminations, 9,000 damage. Shock is thrown out. Nade's been also gone. Cellz going for a connection on a Rocky. He's going to be just a bit shy. Overtime Hill is in. Nade's going to be blown up, though, and this is going to be a round from auction. Yeah, there's no way Cellz gets there in time. Oh! Whoa! He got it while he was down. Cellz couldn't get the finish.
If he gets that chunk over the cover, that's a Noble round. They're on series point, ready to close it out. But I talked about a miracle being needed for Oxygen. Well, guess what? The Gears gods just granted one. Oh, he missed the reaction shot, bro. Wow, you put your life on the line of a reaction shot.
Oh, geez, that was that. And you know what? If Rocky's not there, Noble wins that round. They're at map
It's
point,
Rocky's
series point.
to his right. His left, Cellz is right. That's what saved him. Inches.
Shows me there's hope for me, brother. With as bad as I am, even when I'm down, I can still win a round with the overtime hill. Hey, we're tied up 4-4, and this is going to be the most important round in my opinion. It might be won very quickly from the boys of Noble, and it will be. And I said it was an important round for a reason. It's not just fluff. That's round 9, but more importantly, Noble has finally put themselves at match point and series point And the upset might, in fact, be coming through. And Noble has put in a ton of work, and Cellz is leading the charge. There will be no question in my mind who is the MVP in this matchup if Noble successfully wins this final round.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the first rounds out of the 9 we've seen so far where it was kind of led by somebody other than Cellz in one of these situations. So that's the confidence boost that is kind of going around the team. Map and series point for Noble. Oxygen, they feel the pressure here. Smoke coming out from Cellz on his bad side here. That gives him a little bit of advantage if he wants to take control over the middle bridge and take control. He shall do.
An Old Testament on me. He shall do. I like that, Jacob. A little different side of you.
Enemy marked.
Man, it's tense, isn't it? At this point, you know, the nerves really start to hit you. Noble's got to keep a cool, clear head. Cellz is the one. Oh, no. Pushyz is down. I was about to say Cellz is the guy to make this happen. The nades are in the hand, and I think Noble at this point is about to take it. Hold up a second. Zoom is down 4v2. Ladies and gentlemen, Oxygen is about to be on the way out. My goodness. Rocky, Abolics. Can they make it happen? Rocky's full red. Abolics in no man's land. Doubles back up the stairs. Rocky by himself. He's trying to get back up, but it's not going to happen. Morty's going to get the finish, a 6-4 victory and a 3-2 victory overall in the series for Noble. And the upset is complete, and Noble is a serious threat heading into the Summer Major.
Yeah, this is something that you can't just shake off. It's something that you have to take note of going into that major, because this is the last week of Pro League. This is where every single one of these teams here are going to be focusing up, trying all their strategy, figuring out what works and what doesn't, because before you know it, it's going to be Friday. You're going to be, your back's up against the wall, tournament lives on the line, playing for so much money here. That's the biggest thing. There's so much money on the line.
So much money. I mean, so much money. It's incredible. And without question, Noble is a team that has had their struggles, but that right there shows you what they can do to some of the best. They're a bracket buster team now, officially. Yep. You know, Oxygen was that bracket buster team. They still are, without question. That map was just incredibly close, the series close in general. But Jacob, Noble is now officially a bracket buster team that, again, if you don't take them seriously, they're going to hit you in the mouth and they're going to capitalize. And I'm a fan. I really am. And you know what? I said it last time. I can't bet against Cellz and Co., but I did it and they win. I'm tired of doing this. Cellz has let us know, don't bet against us. And we don't listen. Time in and time out.
I'm happy being wrong, especially in the fashion that we did. Like I said, that was just a complete takeover of a game. Yeah, it went all 5 games, so it wasn't easy, but even in those map losses, Cellz was leading the charge. Like I said, it was a complete Cellz takeover, and if there's any one MVP for the match, it is completely him. He's trying to make a contestation of Player of the Week here.
Oh man, I mean, without question, depending on how Noble continues to play. I mean, what has Noble got in the next 2 days, right? The next and final few days, Noble is going to have to play. Is it Hive? Yeah, it's going to be Hive tomorrow. Yeah, without question, you know what? I think that's fair. Cellz could be Player of the Week if he performs just as well as he did against Oxygen, against Hyde. Because you know what? It's one thing to beat Oxygen. It'd be another to beat Hyde. This is going to give nightmares to Pushyz. I cannot believe he loses that fight against Cellz.
It wasn't only that fight either. It was the other one, I think, towards the top half of the map, to where he just took too much damage peeking out. I will say he tried to preemptively try to jump up on towards that flash, but because of that flash not stunning Cellz was able to continue to put out damage. You saw the rotation come through from Moaries as well, where he got that cross over the top. Without Moaries getting that down, Pushyz is still alive, but Cellz just holding his ground, not backing down. So 2 different moments there, Pushyz, man. He's going to be going in towards the weekend here, the next couple of days, just really just kicking himself over it, because with that loss as well, guess what that does? That kicks Oxygen out of contestation of first place.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? And Oxygen, I know, wanted first place. They really did. Coming into this, they were in 5th place. Noble was sitting down there at a respectable 10th, and I say respectful because, you know, it's still not bad, but the fact that Oxygen loses, that drops them down to 6th place. You know, and it doesn't get easier from Oxygen from this point. Theoretically, respectfully, this should have been one of their easiest matchup Oxygen had in the final week. I mean, it really should have been, but it's clearly not. They lose it. Now they got to go in and they got to play against E United. And that's going to be their last matchup for this season. But I mean, come on, against E United, you got to benefit E United in that case. So it's like it gets harder from here. And you just gave up a win that you probably should have got. But clearly, Cellz wasn't having it. They were not having it.
It just goes to show sometimes it's those little mistakes. Like I said, Pushyz. I don't want to just go ahead and throw it on to one guy, but those are those moments. Pushyz can agree with us. I just don't want to harp on him too much. He can agree. Those moments that you have to come out on top. And that's where I was saying sometimes when we talk about players needing help, it's not necessarily help into the stat line. You just need somebody to step up and make a play when the time is right.